Alright, so now we're live. Sorry about the confusion. I haven't gone live in a while, and we've been changing internet and updating our offices here. As you can see, as I'm out of the shop, I am now in my new office, and this is also going to be our new training room. So sorry for everybody who's on the other stream. Hopefully you will find your way over to this stream and we can kind of get caught up on the questions and such. One thing that I have been working on that we're pretty proud of is our diagnostic software, and we got this remote start box that I've been working on. So what I want to do is I'm going to put on the screen here, this is a little short video that I actually just filmed real quick, just showing the capabilities of the new remote start box that I just finished up. So we're pretty excited about that. So everybody who's bought the old remote start box, we will have an upgrade option when we get it going. Thanks for finding your way over here, guys. I really appreciate that. Is the sound okay? Hopefully it is. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to start this video real quick just to show you the remote start box that we just finished up. So let me move over here real quick and let me know what you think. So kind of like your car, if you want to communicate with the Bobcat controllers, you're going to need some type of scanner or a device to communicate and transfer that data from the machine to your laptop. And you know, Bobcat has their own remote start box that is really expensive, and they won't even sell it to the public or even to people who have multiple machines. So we built our own diagnostic communication box, but we've been upgrading it over the year and a half or so. And I'm pretty proud of what we just accomplished. So this was kind of our first generation remote start box, or I guess it was just an on-off box, because all we could do is literally turn the machine on and off, and then we have a cable that comes out the back of here, and we just plug it into our laptop, and then that's how we could get our codes and everything off the laptop. And then what we did is we got our second generation box, which is now all aluminum. We laser etch all our logos and stuff on it. And we have an on-off button. So same thing, we can turn the machine on and off, but sometimes when we're diagnosing the machine, we actually need to crank the engine over or start the engine from this box. And that's where Bobcat's remote start box had us beat, or people's kind of wanting that function. So we got a really nice box here. And now what we have is, I'm going to call this our third generation. So now we've got a power button and an actual start button. We'll demonstrate this here in just a second. But what was so difficult about this is the start actually uses a CAN bus digital signal to go into the controller to actually tell the machine to start up. So we had to recreate that CAN signal in order to start the machine. So this is our third generation aluminum box. Again, we get all of our laser etching on there and our two buttons now. And I don't know if we're going to do the to release the parking brake and the auxiliaries, because I don't hardly ever use that and I don't get much of a demand for that, but who knows, maybe one day in the future we will. Let's go put on the machine real quick and we'll take a look at how it works. So I'm not going to hook it to the laptop now because I'm not really interested in checking codes or updating controllers or running calibrations. We're just looking at how the remote start on this box actually works. So what we'll do is we're going to plug it into our diagnostic port that's found on all machines pretty much made from the year 2000 to present day. Your diagnostic port's found back here on the back of the box. So this will allow us to, again, turn the machine on. So you can hear the machine comes on, and this is going to allow us to communicate through our software, whether it be the engine or the machine side. And then to start it up, all we do is we have a momentary switch, we press that, we got to hold it, I guess, to get the engine to start. But now the engine will start, or we can crank the engine over to do the diagnostics and the tests that we want to do. And when we're done, we just turn it off. So we're working on this really hard. We just got the CAN signal figured out. And so hopefully we will have this box available March 2025 is when this should be released. So let me know what you think, and let me know if you'd be interested in one of these as opposed to one with just the on-off switch, because there is going to be a slight increase, I guess, on the price because of the extra components and time that it takes to build one of these. So yeah, let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. So that's that. We don't go a whole lot into software on the live thing unless y'all have any questions, but that's what we've been working on. And again, like I said, we've completely changed the whole company over. I have just recently came out of the truck as of last week. I know he's out working late. He's running the truck now. So Mike runs the truck. He's also the service manager now, and I've kind of moved inside to kind of run the business side of things. And again, this is going to be our training facility. We're going to have a giant screen over here on the other side that we're going to be able to do all of our animations and displays and PowerPoints and such as that. But we also go out into the shop on our training days, and we'll have all the machines in the shop that we do hands-on diagnostics and learn how the computer systems and stuff work. Let's try to get caught up on y'all's questions here. I could see what was going on in the other stream, but I just quite could not get my software to connect for some reason. So if I missed anything over there, let's see, I know Bradley, oh, you made it over here. Okay, let's see. Where did you get the solid rollers for the Bobcat controls to rebuild video, the manual controls? I mean, it's just it's a serial number break. You can get them basically for the older machines. It went to the roller bearings. I know exactly what you're talking about, but it did go to the roller bearings. Mark, I don't know if Mark's here, if he made it from the other stream. But anyways, to answer that question, what it was is when we rebuilt the steering, it has roller bearings. I like the solid bushings better than the roller bearings. So to find those, you just get them on an older serial number, 763 or something like that. See, Bradley had a question on his T190. See if we can get to that real quick. Brad from Wisconsin, welcome Bradley. Thanks for being here. We talk on an older live about a T190 with charge pressures. You concerning the hydro pump. I installed a new pump and got charge pressure back. Good deal. So you must have been losing charge pressure due to bad slippers or something inside that hydrostatic pump is what I'm assuming. So man, glad you got it figured out. That's awesome. He also wanted to know if your diagnostic kit and wondered if it will change parameters on like fuel level light or controller parameters for warning lights and such. It is a developer version of the software. You have a lot more ability than even the dealer level, but there's not really parameters and stuff like that you can change. I guess it's more of diagnostic, not really a tuning software, I guess, if that makes sense. I'm not real sure. I don't quite understand. Like, you can get feedback in the software, like if you press your buttons on your handles or your joysticks, you'll get that feedback on the computer screen. That way it helps you diagnose stuff. So it is a two-way type communication, but I'm not sure if I completely understand it. Hydrostatic pump or Oh, Mark was asking if it was the hydraulic or the hydrostatic. Probably the hydrostatic. I'm assuming. Yeah, hydrostatic's what he said. Okay, perfect. He bought it from CRC Components. Good, man. I'm glad you gave them guys a shot. Old Coolant over there has a good thing going. Let's see. Motorhead joined us on the other one. Hopefully he made it over. T250, the rollers are 25 each. Probably be, oh, he's talking about the bushings maybe. Let's see. Raymond says, I have the software and the laptop full kit, and it's a deal. Full factory service manuals and shop manuals and full access to the Doosan engine and Bobcat side as well. Oh, okay. Awesome, Raymond. Good. Hopefully it's working out good for you. Well, what year does the laptop start to become a necessity? 2014 for the engine side. I mean, what do you call necessity? From the year 2000, we had machine controllers and stuff, and if you lose a controller, you have to reprogram that controller. And so pretty much from the year 2000, you can start programming the Bobcat side, all the way up to present day. But 2014 is kind of when we went to the Doosan common rail engines, and that's where the laptops and the diagnostic stuff kind of shine. So kind of 2014 and up. It still connects to the Kubota powered machines, but I believe you can go back to 2001. Yeah, so you can connect to the machine side on the Kubota, but let's say you had the Kubota IT4 common rail engine that was in our bigger machines. We only had it like 2012 and 2013. We would need Diagmaster with the DSTI interface. and I haven't been able to recreate the DSTI interface yet. I don't know if I will be able to. There was a Python type interface, but I haven't quite found the Python yet. So you'd have to get a DSTI. I've got the software, but the DSTI, the actual interface, is very expensive. I think it's $1,700 on my website, but we do carry them. All right, that was from the old stream. Let's jump over to the new stream and see if we can get caught up here. Thanks for your patience, guys. Sorry, I'm trying to go as fast as I can to get caught up here. All right, let's see. Wagon Tail 2000 Bobcat 863 AHC, Advanced Hand Control is what that means. The shaft that the pintle lever goes on is 25 millimeter diameter. What am I finding at the dealer is the seal is now 38 millimeter. What I'm finding at the dealer is the seal. I'm gonna have to look into that. You're talking about the pintle shaft seal? There was, yours is a 25, but it's a 38. I didn't know they had the 25 millimeter on the 863. I'm gonna have to look into that. I saw them on the smaller machines, but I didn't know they had it on the 863. It's a 2000. I'd like to see that serial number break and see what's going on there. I'm not sure on that, Wagon Tail. Any suggestions with the Bendoli Pavazzi? No, sorry, I don't. I'm not even familiar with that pump. I don't have any good suggestions on that pump. That's exactly what I wanted, was the crank and start. Yeah, I'll have it available, Raymond, since you already bought it. Like I said, for those who have already bought the older generation start boxes, I will try to find a way to give you an option of upgrading that. Send me yours back and we'll try to upgrade that for you. And Devin, let me know. I moved the mic. Did that help a little bit? Devin's here. Thanks for being here. Let's see. I've got a few extra gallons of the advanced EG. Yeah, so we got it in at the same time. So I just got that in this week. It's actually down there sitting on my workbench. I haven't even had a chance to look into it. So what Shenanigans is talking about, I think he's in a dealer back east. And so Bobcat just came out with a new EG, ethylene glycol coolant that now is that we can start. I think they're going to start running in. Are they going to run it in all the machines or just some of the machines? I think they're changing over to the new coolant in all the machines. So ethylene glycol, which is kind of an easier coolant to cross over. So we were used to the kind of the purple propylene glycol, which is the coolant that Bobcat has used for many, many years, and it's not really compatible with anything else. And if you were to have a coolant leak, or if you needed coolant and you need to go to an auto parts store or something on the weekend, you can't find anything propylene glycol. And all it was a environmentally friendly coolant. So you spill it on the ground or whatever, you don't have to worry about the dogs licking it up and dying. But now they're going back to an ethylene glycol, which is red in color. And I just got a couple of those gallons in, so I want to do a little research on them, see if I can find out what's compatible with that, and before I did a video on it. So I'm glad you got it in about the same time we did. I had it on order for a while, but glad you got it in. And let me know, I think they are changing over all the new machines to that. Is it going to be the same as the CT? Because the CT tractors already have a different coolant. The small, I know like our small E20s and E10 excavators use a pink coolant, but then they don't sell that coolant, so it's kind of a mess with coolants right now. And same thing, they're changing over a bunch of hydraulic stuff too. But 1993 Bobcat, no diagnostic box or boss system. Yeah, that's all mechanical. 1993. What is that, like a 742, 743 maybe, something like that? Yeah, Raymond said he'll swap the new one out for sure. Let me go down. Devin says, okay. All right, Devin said the mic did make a difference. Good, thanks. Let's see, need to bypass a bob attach valve and remove the bob attach pump. How big of a job is it? So the bob attach valve is bolted to your hydraulic pump.
What do you mean you need to bypass it? Because a lot of people who take the Bobcat cylinder off, you have to leave the Bobcat valve in place and just cap the lines off. I've seen that 100 times. If that's all you're trying to do is just get the old Bobcat cylinder and lines out of your way, you can leave the valve on. It's not going to hurt anything because it's kind of direct flow through that valve, over to your control valve. It just bolts to the pump and goes through the Bobcat valve and then goes back, loops back into the control valve. So, and really it depends on the machine as far as accessibility to that valve is concerned. But really, I'm not sure exactly. Like if you have to remove it, then you're going to have to build some type of new hose or something, like a flange fitting type. And I'm not even sure if you can do that. I think you can. It would be a flange type fitting for that pump. But if you can just leave the valve in place, unless it's cracked or leaking or something like that, then you're going to have to come up with a hose or something to fix that. So maybe we can kind of clarify exactly what you're trying to do there. We just bought a whole setup from you a few weeks ago. We have the second box, but didn't have time to try it out yet. Okay, yeah, we'll try it out. And again, everything, if you buy one of my computers, it comes preloaded with TeamViewer. If you ever have any issue, as long as I'm available, you send me your TeamViewer information, I can log right on with you, and we can try to make any adjustments or help you get connected. We'll even help you do some diagnostic type stuff, kind of teach you about, show you online, face to face, how the software works and everything. So cool, try it out and stay in touch. Let me know how it works out for you. Is it necessary to pull the motor to plug the harness in under the hydrostatic pump? Which harness are we talking about? So under the hydrostatic pump, depending on what model, what we're talking about, there's a couple harnesses that go under that. If we're talking about the one for the Swash plate sensors, no, you don't have to pull the motor. What we do, pull the motor mounts and lift the motor up. I have to, because I'm, bigger hands or whatever. I have to take the motor mounts out and lift the motor up to get my hands and get a wrench under there to take you got to take a cover off of the sensors, and then you can remove the sensors if you lift it up a little bit, but you don't have to take it completely out. But there's also another harness that runs under the hydrostatic pumps. It's for like the fuel level sender, the AC compressor. It really all depends on what model machine it is. But if you're specifically talking about the Swash plate sensors, then you can just remove the motor mounts. And sometimes easier said than done, right? Depending on what machine it is. Like we're working on a T300 out here, and those rear, or I guess it'd be front engine mounts, toward the middle of the machine. They're kind of really hard to get to. You gotta really pull the track off and work in around the drive motors if you don't pull the drive motors off themselves. So yeah, it really depends on the model on how easy or hard that's going to be. Yeah, he said the audio was pretty quiet. We're a bunch of deaf mechanics. I know, right? It seems like, yeah, is it that we're going deaf, or we're getting more and more selective hearing? I wonder if that's what it's called. I'm not sure. Because for me, I think I'm going to call it selective hearing. And let's see, I can probably set the gain on this up a little bit. Maybe not. Anyways, I have to have my 16-year-old kid here to help me with all this stuff. I'll have it fixed next week, hopefully. Dang, Dan made it. All right, good to see you, Dan. 38 millimeter, and the old seal is 36 millimeter. I'm still going to have to check into that. We're talking about the pintle shaft seals on the 863. I'm going to have to look at that. Let's see. Getting one of y'all's classes for May. Glad to see what y'all show me. Yeah, awesome, man. So March, I think we've only got like one seat left in March, but May, we've got plenty of seats left for the May class. Let's see. Oh, Raymond's in the March class. Awesome, man. Look forward to seeing you first week of March. Okay, T180, sorry. Necessary to pull the motor. Okay, so yeah, so T180, that's one of those motor mounts that are hard to get to. So, and again, I'm assuming you're talking about the swash plate sensors. Can't remember. I haven't done one of those in a long time. But either way, I think unless you got tiny hands, you're going to have to lift up the motor somehow. Let's see. Still saying the volume's a little low. Let me move the mic up a little more. See if that'll work. There was a settings, properties, somewhere I could turn the gain up on this thing. But anyways, I'm not going to mess with that because then I'll lose audio altogether. So I'll just try to talk a little louder. Anyways, all right, where are we at? I have a 95 Bobcat 7753 hose blew, and they ran it before they knew it blew. But when I fix the hose, the hydraulics work, lift, and tilt and goes back and forward. When I turn, it whines and makes noise. Is this your machine? Because a lot of times those machines, like my 763, which has only got 1,000 hours, it whines and makes noise, especially at lower hours. But you could have, you know, maybe you still had some air in the system. Are you sure we got all the air out of the system? Because when you blow a hose and you keep running it, you do fill like the whole thing up with, and then it just foams up, and then you got foamy oil, and that can kind of cause issues like that. But if it's something you just got called out to and you fixed, unless they're saying that it sounds different, you know, it really depends on how long they ran it without oil, because you lose your charge pressure in those machines. And yeah, it doesn't take long, although all the components are still soaked in oil. If we don't have pressure, your pistons can kind of start hitting or actually making contact with the plate that the rotating group rides on. And maybe we could have done a little pump damage. I mean, hopefully not, but is it got power issues or anything? I don't know. I mean, there's so many things that are possible, but I would think that maybe it's probably either normal or it just still got some air in the system. It's kind of hard to say. Let's see. Are we going to be able to purchase a complete system if we go to the classes, compute, and accessories? Yeah, I mean, we have everything here. If you come to a class, and that's part of the class, is we're going to push a lot of both hands-on diagnostic and computer diagnostics. We need to learn how to do it both ways. You know, most of all my videos and everything I do is I want people to know how to work on this equipment or do as much as you can without the software, but sometimes you just have to have it. Like I said, if you're replacing a controller or something like that, you have to have the diagnostic software in order to you know, program them controllers, program injectors and stuff like that. So if there's a point, if you're working on a lot of machines, and yeah, you're going to have the software. So everything that I have and have built, as long as it's in stock, I'll make sure before the class I have plenty in stock. And yeah, anything that we have here, you're more than welcome to buy on site here. Everything except the smaller tractors as well. Okay, so what we're going back to what I was asking him is because he's still at the dealer, and I haven't been exactly sure what the new coolant was going to be in, the new ethylene glycol, which is red. So he says it's going to be in everything except the smaller tractors, the 1000, so the CT tractors. And that's kind of what I heard. But even the larger excavators, like when we get to the Doosan excavators or the Bobcat E145, 165, they're using a different coolant too. So yeah, I need to kind of read up on it and get back with Bobcat and see exactly what they're doing with these coolants and why different machines are using different coolants. I'm not 100% sure. Some new antifreeze, no water needed, and boiling point is 350. Was that a question? I'm not sure. Yeah, no water needed. Interesting. Oh, race cars are using it. Propylene glycol is what the vape guys use. I think so. I agree. Motor has a Mountain Dew color. So when I was just talking about the Doosan E145 1-star larger excavators with the Perkins engines, that's almost the color of the coolant that's in those. It is like that yellowish, almost like a Mountain Dew color. Interesting. Yeah, our E10 has pink. Yeah, that's what I was saying. So the E10, E20s, I noticed have a pink coolant in them, and then Bobcat doesn't sell it. And I never got a real straight answer on what to do when we change it. So I was changing over to the green EG. It was weird, and maybe they've changed that. Maybe Shenanigans can answer that for us. I think he's really in with the parts, but I don't think that I remember that they. And I asked him. I think I even opened a case to Bobcat and said, "What coolant do we use?" I don't know. Just change it over to something. It'll mix. It was weird, so I don't know. But there were Kubota engines, so why couldn't they have used the EG or PG that we were already using for the Kubota engines? But now those small ones have the Yanmars in them, right? You're a Bobcat dealer and repair center. I am not a dealer. We are just so I've got a couple companies that you'll see. So a lot of what I do, like the mother company is Tetrad Group. I guess I kind of run everything through Tetrad. But the company that we built here is South Valley Equipment. And South Valley Equipment, we're just a rental, sales, and service company. And although I've had many years with Bobcat and Bobcat dealers and such, I am not a dealer. We're just a repair center who specializes in Bobcat repair, I guess. And we've got a lot of Bobcat equipment in our rental fleet. Probably 20 pieces of Bobcat equipment. But I don't think Bobcat likes us, especially our local dealer, because everybody knows who we are. And all the salesmen come over here and visit us. I mean, Kubota comes over here and visits us. So we bought a Kubota from them. JCB's been pushing us pretty hard, but I can't quite get on board with JCB yet. However, I did just buy a couple scissor lifts from JCB. They literally, before this started, they were dropping off my brand new scissor lifts, because now JCB has their second generation of scissor lifts that are supposed to be a little bit better, but everyone's on this little new ANSI, safety thing where they can only lift 500 pounds, so it kind of screws with the weight limit of but it's a level playing field. JCB was kind of the first, because they're already doing it in Europe. They came over to the USA, and then they had these load capacities on their lifts, so everybody was hating them. But now it's a level playing field, because according to the government, everybody has to have the same lifting capacity in their scissor lifts. So Genie, JLG, Skyjack, everyone has the same. So it's kind of a level playing field. But yeah, so Bobcat won't even fucking come talk to me. I mean, we're buying new equipment all the time. And so today I went to another dealer who called us. So Devellon, Devlon, Doosan, however you want to word it. Devellon is the new Doosan, I guess. Develop onward is what it means. So Devellon. I first saw them at Con Expo, and that's how a lot of people found out about Devellon and the equipment that they offered. So now their equipment's starting to come out. So we went today and actually looked at their 80 size excavator, because we're this close to buying the Kubota 80 excavator, because number one, the price difference. Number two, Kubota comes and brings me stuff. Damn, they brought me a nice jacket. They bring donuts and shit. They just come and hang out. Not one fucking Bobcat salesman has ever fucking come over here and said one damn word to me. I don't know why I do so much for Bobcat, and those people hate me. Anyways, enough of the soapbox shit. But yeah, I don't know that I'll be buying anymore. I don't know. I'd hate to say that, but everyone else is actually coming and earning our business, and those fuckers won't even walk in the damn door, so whatever. We'll just keep buying, but I'm really interested in this Devlon. I've got pictures. I was trying to get the stream working, because I'm going to actually load some of the videos and stuff that I took today of us operating the Devlon 80 size machine. And now the Devellon skid steers, we're waiting on those. They're in port right now. What I mean, they're in port, they got shipped over here, but then they found out that there are some warranty issues that they need to take care of before they get to the dealer. the center track link that goes all the way through the machine, so they got to pull the track systems off and fix that, and something with the coupler. So the Develon skid steers haven't made it. Now they've only got one size, and it's the larger size. It's going to be like the 335 Deer, like compete with the Bobcat T86. It's a big machine, but it's about $15,000 to $20,000 cheaper than like the Bobcat. But it's still, it's going to run over any of the Kubota skid steers. So I'm pretty excited about what Develon has to offer. And Develon is, although it's a new company, it's still Doosan, so it's been around for a while. They're still using the Doosan engine. So the excavator I looked at today is still the Doosan D24, and the skid steer that's going to be coming is the excuse me, is going to have the D34 in it, which I'm pretty excited about. And what else? Oh, we also looked at a Manitou extendable reach forklift. So we're going to add some of those to our, so instead of, you know, the Bobcat extendable forklift, they won't, like I said, they won't even talk to us. We're looking at Manitou. We kind of looked at JCB, but man, I don't know, man, those scare me. So anyways, you just asked if I was a dealer, and I went off on a whole bunch of other stuff. Let me try to catch up where we were. 2023, so a newer E60R2. Some days the hydraulics are fast, and other days they feel sluggish regardless of hydraulic temperature. Would a leaking JPS selector cause this? I also seem to remember you remove a pin or something in, or on the pump, something when it calls for flow. Yeah, so I don't think the JPS selector is going to have anything to do with like some days being fast or slow, because all we're doing is just changing the ports, basically the direction of the flow from the pilot controls to change the pattern selection on that. So I don't think it would be intermittent like that. Because that's pilot pressure, but I don't think that's going to cause, I can't see that causing what you're trying to describe here. I'd have to check the serial number and see if that still has the pin in the pump, but if it does, that's the first thing I would take out, whether you need it or not. Well, you don't need it, actually. Like I said, I would take it out regardless if it's in there, but I'd have to look at the newer E60R2 to see if it's in there. I'm pretty sure that it is, but I would have to double check. And what it is, it's an orifice that we remove. It does look like a pin, but we call it an orifice, and that allows that flow through the pump to get to the torque limiter and actually move that thing. So that could be an option, but without the serial number, I'd have to look it up in the parts department and see for sure. Oh, Rick has 843 that doesn't have BOS, which is good. Anytime you can avoid a BOS system, it's a good idea. My Tesla starts, but don't crank. There's a fix for that. It's funny when Ross Creations put the gas engine in a Tesla and took it in for an oil change. They thought it was crazy. I thought it was funny. I just scrolled down a little bit. These things go nuts. But he said JCB should scare you, LOL. Well, see, and I'll get down to JCB here in a minute and tell you why I'm scared of them. Oh, everybody! Holy shit, everybody's. Yeah, let's see. Dude, I am way behind. I am sorry. I got sidetracked on something, and let's see. Yes, diagnostic capabilities. Okay, Bradley, how can I get a hold of you to discuss more on the diagnostic capabilities? Pretty much on my YouTube channel, my email and everything's on there. It's pretty easy to get a hold of me. Shoot me a text or email. Let's see if I knew how to. So I am in software, so I can't post a chat unless I go somewhere else and try to log into the chat from somewhere else. It's just a mess. Anyways, or I'd post my phone number on there and you can text me. But go to my page in the About Me and my email's in there. Just shoot me an email and I can feel free to call me too, either way. Let's see. Different question here. My old 93 dump truck needs a fuel filter change. If I unscrew the fuel filters and install new ones full of diesel, how would I prime it if it doesn't start? It depends on the engine. So yeah, I mean, you're going to try to find, again, it depends on the engine, where you're going to bleed the lines. But there's a lot of times that we change out fuel filters and sometimes we still have to bleed the line. So 93, I'm sure it's all mechanical. As close to the injector as you can get is where I like to bleed them if you can. And even on the injection pump itself, there might be a banjo nut. A lot of times you'll find a banjo nut right on the injection pump. You kind of bleed them there. So it really depends on the system, man. I've done so many of them and bled so many of them. Just any point of contact after the filter, you can loosen and bleed depending on how bad it is kind of what you want to do. Hopefully that helps a little bit. But have you installed an extendable arm on an E35, and if so, how do you know if you plumb the lines off the aux controls, or do you run new valves and lines? I haven't retrofitted one, Jason, so I'm not sure off the aux controls. So yeah, I haven't retrofitted one, so I can't answer that question, unfortunately. I'd have to look into it a little bit. I'm trying to remember exactly how the extendable arm works. It doesn't work off the, or does it work off the auxiliary hydraulics? Maybe it does. I can't remember. Gosh, it's been so long since I've worked on an extendable arm. But one thing I will tell you about the extendable arm is when you bring that arm in or you take it all the way out, it's not designed to work in a middle position. It's either all the way in or all the way out. You're going to have a pin. Make sure that extendable arm, one thing I can tell you about that is always make sure the extendable arm is pinned in either the up or the down position. Because if you don't, you're going to blow out your port relief on there when you're digging and trying to pull on a rock or stump or whatever it may be. You're going to blow out your port relief. I've done a lot of port release on extendable arms because they don't pin the extendable arm. So just a little tip. T450 got sent in for a hard start. Dealer said the Bobcat valve was causing the hard start, and we can't either fix it, and we can either fix it, remove, or bypass. And does the Bobcat run off its own hydraulic pump? No, the Bobcat valve does not have its own hydraulic pump. It runs off the main hydraulic pump. All it is a diverter valve. So we're bolted directly to the main hydraulic pump, and there's a diverter valve or coil in there that we move a stem in either direction to create. So we're going to capture some of that flow of the main hydraulic pump, and we're going to divert it to the Bobcat system. So what happens is trash gets stuck in that stem and holds that stem in a position where it allows flow to go into the Bobcat cylinder. So yeah, in that case it's kind of hard. The best thing to do is really just replace the stem on it. On a T450, no big deal, man. And you should be able to get a new stem for it. I know, I see Fo Nickel's not here, but he just ran into that on an older machine where the Bobcat valves have been changed so many times over the years that it was discontinued, and he's having a hard time finding a Bobcat valve, but you should still be able to get the stem for it, hopefully, and just replace the stem. More than likely that's going to fix your problem, or try to take the stem out, and you might find a piece of trash inside of it that you can kind of clean out and fix on your own. So that might be an option. Let's see. All right. Sorry, guys. Let me try to get caught up here, not get sidetracked. Okay. All right. Toolcats seem to be used around salt a lot. Do you see any other equipment getting wrecked with rust? Do you recommend people spray with lanolin or truck bed coating in rust-prone areas? Yeah. So yeah, we see it all the time. I'm in a salt area. Like right now we're in winter, and a lot of these machines that aren't still digging, whatever basements or whatever landscaping, they take them out and literally park them in the salt piles. They run the bucket and the salt comes over the bucket onto the pins and bushings, and it's everywhere. So yeah, we get a lot of salt issues on the skid steers and the 5600s as well. So not uncommon, but they're not my machines. So anything that you can try to prevent that rust, I would 100% say try it. It's definitely worth a shot. I know one of my customers, they store the salt, bags of salt in the 5600. So they run a snow blower and they carry the bags of salt everywhere, but they never unload them. So on the warm days, what happens? All the snow melts into the salt, then the salt runs through the bed, and now the whole bed and the radiator assembly and the frame and everything's just completely rusted out. So yeah, and then when they buy a new one, I know specifically one of my customers, as soon as they bought a new tool cat, that's what they did. They completely run bed liner all through the bed, and they made a bunch of other precautions. I don't know exactly what they did, but anything you can do to fight that, for sure. I'm all about it. Best not to pre-fill secondary fuel filter from a shop cam. Yeah, so he's right, and you got to take precaution, because if you fill a fuel filter, that's why our new, some of the mechanical injection systems can handle a little bit of trash, but when I say a little bit of really, I don't want to say that. I gotta be careful how I word it. Like, our common rail systems can't handle that trash, so if you pre-fill the filter, you got a possible of getting contamination into the fuel filter, and then that's gonna, because if you fill it up from the center, that's where the clean fuel is supposed to be. You're supposed to plug the center hole and fill the filter from the outside hole, because that's the way the fuel filters work. And that way any of your contaminated diesel will be filtered before it gets on the clean side of the filter. But if you get that into a common rail system, you're gonna, clog up an injector or cause damage on the pump. So yeah, he's right. If you're pre-filling a filter, you got to be real careful. You either got to make sure 100% that your shop can is clean, no contamination in there, no dirt's going to fall off the spout when you put it in there. But yeah, okay, yeah, next thing you said, you can wipe out a pump or a common rail diesel. That's exactly what I was saying. So yeah, that's a great point. So I recommend on the common rails, whenever you can, especially like on our new ones, we got electric primer pumps, but before, we had the ball primer. But you always put them on dry and then squeeze them and pump them up, so that way you don't risk getting contamination in the system. So have you had any issues on the new 86s? Us on the East Coast haven't had any of the typical harness issues or anything like that. There's, yeah, just kind of your normal. On the T86s, since it's a new machine, you kind of get it out there, and there's been a couple things with the DEF system. We had, you remember the intake tube was sucking flat because they didn't have the right durometer or whatever rubber in the intake tube. The filter, there would get some debris on top and it would suck the intake tube flat. We've had a couple harness issues, just kind of your minimal stuff, nothing major though. Let's see, we've got one customer that's really particular, and we've had tracking issues on the T86. So it's tracking a little bit to the right, and we cannot get it to straighten out through the controllers or anything. We've got cases and stuff opened up through Bobcat, and he's very particular about the machine, and he's probably going to turn it back in because it drifts a little bit outside of spec. But we cannot, even pump calibration after calibration after calibration, try to do the steering drift within the computers, it won't. For some reason, we just can't get it to straighten out. Okay, yeah, like he's already ahead of me. Feel from the outer holes, not from the center hole. That's what I was just saying, is that so some of the filters will come with a cap that you plug that center hole, and that way you feel the outside without getting any fuel on the inner side. So a lot of filters, you'll buy fuel filters and they'll come with that little red cap or plug in there. That way you can pre-fill it without getting contamination in there. Let's see, Isuzu 4 JB1. Do you know if the glow plugs are hard to get to, and what would you just test resistance on them to see if they're all okay? So I'm not super familiar with the Isuzu engine. I'm assuming you're talking about the Isuzu in the 843s. So So I guess it depends on the machine is how hard the glow plugs are to get to. But if you can test the resistance, like most glow plugs, you're going to be right around 1 ohm, 1.3 ohms. That's one way to check them. But it's so rare I see one of those Isuzus, especially in the Bobcats. I honestly can't remember for sure if I can answer that question properly. Yeah, Devin's ahead of me. We were just talking about that. The Bobcat does run off the main gear pump, not the charge pump, but the gear pump. So it just, like I said, it's a diverter valve. It just captures some of that oil coming out of there and diverts it to the Bobcat when you demand it to move over there. So, yep, Devin's absolutely right. Let's see. Yeah, ohm out the glow plugs. When they're bad, they'll read 0 or open. Let's see, 2014 T650, and I ordered 2 different aftermarket final drive motors from Final Motor Drives. What do you think about aftermarket drive motors? You'll get mixed reviews on that. And I guess there's a lot of aftermarket, and then there's a lot of China aftermarket. And I've used them both. I'm gonna be honest with you, and for the most of the time, I have good luck. I don't have much failure with new motors, even aftermarket ones. The pumps, that's where I get a little iffy. But the motors, for me personally, have maybe, knock on wood, maybe I've just been lucky, but the motors seem to have been pretty good. So you've got the MCR-F, like the F, the older style on the 2014. I mean, hopefully, I don't think you'll have any issues. Hopefully not. I'm not familiar with Final Motor Drives. I'm gonna have to look them up and see what they're all about. Let's see, Coleman, what's up, man? Me and my brother are getting ready to tear into a V3300 out of an S250 motor. Has quite a bit of blow-by. Any helpful tips you have? So on S250, so I just did a 3300 last week. I'm literally just finished it up this week. I'm just getting the steering and stuff straightened up today. But that was in a T300. And yeah, just those front motor mounts are real difficult to get to just because of where they position them in the machine. You know, we have to take the tracks off and go in around the drive motors and such. So on an S250, you should have plates back there behind the wheels. So put that thing up on jack stands, remove those rear wheels and tires, take those plates off, and you should be able to get the motor mounts pretty easy. That's kind of the hardest part, man. The rest of it is pretty straightforward, like any other engine repair. If you want to pull it depends on what I'm doing. Most of the time, we just pull the whole pump and hydrostatic assembly out as one unit. You can do just the motor. It just depends on how you want to do it. But if you decide to pull the whole hydrostatic pump and assembly out together, which I think is a good idea, because that way you can go in there and inspect everything and get it all cleaned up and clean all around your fuel tank and all that stuff while you're in there. The biggest thing is because without a special lifting bracket to get in there, you can cherry pick or put it on your crane, wherever the case may be, but always run a strap down to the hydraulic pump, back up to your lifting device, and kind of ratchet it up, and that kind of balances your motor and your pumps. And then when you're putting it back in, go around to the front of the machine with your ratchet strap, hook to the hydraulic pumps, and ratchet and pull the engine, and the pumps will kind of come up like this, and you can kind of set it in place. But for the most part, everything else is pretty straightforward. It's just getting those I guess they would be called front motor. They're toward the front of the machine. The motor mounts in the middle of the machine. Those are the hardest ones to get to. But everything else is pretty straightforward. I can't think of any other issues I had. We've done a lot of them, but the guys in the shop did this one, and they didn't really have any issues. It's just, like I said, fighting all the mud and debris that's been in there for many, many years and getting to those mounts. Probably a good time to go ahead and replace those mounts as well while you're in there. Go ahead and plan on just replacing them, cheap insurance, because they're so hard to get to. Let's see, Alex, I have to go back to where his first thing, it says, it's my machine, it seems like it rattles and grinds. Oh, okay. if it was air, how do I get air out? But it seems like it had running for a while, still doing. Yeah, so we're talking about the 7753 that they ran for a while without hydraulic oil in it. I don't know how long a while is, but if you, like I said, if you could have caused some pump damage, and what's happening is we've probably scratched the valve plate that the rotating group rides on, and if that happened, then we're losing charge pressure, and that's yeah, I think we probably got some extra wear in the pump, because usually when you run a machine like that, the air usually comes out within a couple hours, the next day or whatever, all the foam's gone, and you should be okay to run it. So I'm not sure what's causing it, man. It could be that we've got some wear in the pump, because like I said, without that charge pressure in there, you're kind of, you know, I mean, I've seen it a lot of times, people blow drive motor hoses and they just keep trying to drive, but nothing happens at all. But in your case, we might have some pump damage, or some pump wear, which is still considered damage, I guess, but it might have to come out. Let's see, charge pump is a gear pump, which is correct. Our charge pump is a gear pump. However, in the 863s and some of our older machines, we had the center charge pump, which was sandwiched in between the hydrostatic pumps, was a Giroller style charge pump. But yes, on the newer machines, it's a pump stack, but we call a main gear pump versus the charge pump, but it's like two gear pumps stacked together on our newer machines. So let's see, Zuzer, yeah. Just what Bobcat needs, more expensive fluids and more confusion on which one's the right one. And yeah, we can go into what happened with all the hydraulic oil, and now they came back out with their proven performance, which was the same oil that we used for many years, which we used to call all season, and now they call it proven performance because everybody didn't like the two that they came out with. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff we could go into with fluids. JCB parts, so yeah, we're getting back to JCB. We bought a couple of JCB scissor lifts, and God, now you guys are scaring me. So JCB parts, terrible availability, yes. So this is my big gripe about JCB is, number one, every freaking wire in the things are yellow, and a lot of times you can't see the wire numbers on them when you're actually tracing out wires and stuff. And then they build the machine around the wiring harness. So in the factory, they lay the wiring harness out on a big device, what do you call it, a big whatever, and then they build the machine around the wiring harness. They put the cab on top of it, the frame around. I'm exaggerating a little bit, but I'm not. But yeah, that's what I was talking to our JCB sales guy today. I'm like, every time I order parts for a JCB, and I'm not exaggerating, it's not like sometimes or majority of the time, every time I order parts for a JCB, it's something simple as a filter kit. I always get extra filters, the wrong filters, the parts are not available on new machines. Like we had a blown hose, and they had these special hoses that nobody in town could make, so I had to go to JCB, and I'm like, okay, nobody can make this hose. Do you carry it, or can you make it? Oh no, we don't make hoses here, and a matter of fact, we can't even get that hose. It's not even available. I'm like, this machine's 4 years old. What, you know, why can't you, what do you mean it's not available? And it was on one of the teleskids. So we had to go in and just replumb a bunch of stuff to make a hose that would work. It just, every time, I don't understand it. It's such a big company, and it's so difficult because there's so many serial number breaks, and the serial number breaks overlap each other in different parts and stuff. It's a mess, man. I'm sorry. I just don't, I can't get on board with the JCB machines, but I'm trying their scissors because it was such a good deal on the warranty. I don't know, man. Fuck, now y'all got me worried. Because he said JCBs have always given me trouble. The scissor lifts have given Jason trouble, which that's what I've heard from the other people. And that was kind of the first generation of scissor lifts. So the second generation, and it's probably the same crap, but they did simplify a lot of stuff and make a lot of things better. They learned a lot on that first generation of JCB scissor lifts, and those are ones you really want to stay away from. But the new JCB lifts are supposed to be a lot better, from what I understand. So we'll see. We will see. This guy says, I know our local Bobcat is a joke, and I hear that more and more every day. Man, I've got so many questions. I want to go off on a rant here at some point, but I'm trying to get all these questions done. Let's see. Man, every time I scroll, I get lost in where I was. We were complaining about, I'm not that far behind, am I? Oh my goodness. Squirrels. That's what Marty said. Wheels like to randomly leave the chat. I hope not. We'll find out. Deer for track loader, any good? No, I hate the deer. Sorry, it might be a bias thing, but the deers are garbage, man. They're just, yeah. That's just my opinion. My dealership tries to have good relations with everyone we deal with. Pretty sure we are one of the best Bobcat dealers in the Northeast. Got to keep that reputation up. Are y'all part of an enterprise, or are you still a locally family-owned type dealership? I'm curious. The enterprises are coming in, buying up all of those dealerships that were really good, and it's going to hell. That's part of the rant I want to go on employee retention and employee training and such as that. It's and why so. Guys, I talk, my phone rings all day long. I talk to you guys, I talk to other mechanics and stuff all day long. I'm on the computers with them, we're diagnosing stuff. And just some amazing, talented people I have met through this whole process. And I kid you not, I'm kind of blown away at how many people have left or in the process of leaving dealerships to start up their own independent company, and I'm so damn proud of them. I love that. That's exactly what I did. I mean, it takes a lot of work, man. It's very rare I get a day off. My wife too. She works here. I mean, we're almost. I mean, it's been what, almost 2 weeks since we've had a day off. Literally Saturdays, Sundays. I mean, we just, you're working for yourself now. It's not 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. No, it's 12 hours a day, sometimes 7 days a week. And every day we're working that hard, thinking that we're going to get a day off, but it doesn't seem to happen. So, yeah, you got to be brave and willing to put in the work when you start your own thing. But trust me, it's worth it. It's very tough in the end. Working for somebody, it's a paycheck, man. You're going to get paid. It's comfortable, benefits, all the cool stuff. But I literally talk to people every day taking the plunge. I mean, they're starting out of their pickup trucks if they can't afford a full-size service truck, or maybe just another one of my guys just here in the same area, left. He's just working out of a Dodge single rear wheel, and he's killing it. He's doing really good. And I literally every day I'm talking to people who leave, whether it's Florida, Texas, Alabama, Nebraska, even in the Dakotas and Wyoming. I talk to them every day, and these people are just leaving because they're sick and tired of this corporate dealers, just the way they're being treated. These corporations are called enterprises, are coming in and buying up all the. I was just talking to a friend of mine that works for the Berry companies out of Texas. I forget, did he say 200 No. I forget how many locations Berry has. It could be 200 locations, and they might not all be Bobcat. but I'm not sure. But Barry might be one of the better ones. But anyways, part of the rant. We'll get to that some other time. Okay, yeah, we talked about a lot of that stuff. T86, everything works besides arm and bucket controls and has bucket angle sensor code. Can I fix or that a tech fix? The bucket angle position sensor will code out with a damaged sensor or a damaged cable that goes to the sensor. A lot of times it gets damaged, but that should not prevent lift and tilt. The bucket angle position sensor should not prevent lift and tilt. I think you got something else going on, and I'm not sure what it is because it could be many things, so I don't know what the code. You should have some extra codes with that, I would imagine. I'm not sure. Yeah, it says JCB's been horrible about getting parts in stock, and that's what I was just talking about. It's like new machine, like on their teleskids. You would think that all those parts would be available. Nope, we had to make specials. It just, you know, you go out for a simple hydraulic leak. That's what it was. We got called for the customer for a hydraulic leak, and we ended up having no, I guess it was a full day, so I think we were right at 8 hours, because you go out there just to fix a simple leak and then find out nothing's available, and you have to completely custom make a new hydraulic circuit to make the hose work. And you know what, it's just, fuck, who has time for that? Does a 2019 E26 have that orifice in the pump? No, an E26 has a pump stack, so it's going to be different than the variable displacement piston pump, that the one with the orifice we're talking about. Is there an aftermarket company that sells track tensioner for a T190? There may be, I'm not sure, because I know the track tensioners, I just bought a T190 with a broken track tensioner, so I hope you can find one, because I know a lot of those track tensioners are being discontinued. I think I've got a broken spring because my tensioner is wedged in there sideways, and when those springs break, they're a real pain to get out. So I literally just bought a T190 last week. We just got it off the trailer, but they already took the track and the tensioners broke inside of it. So yeah, I haven't even looked into it yet, but I'm not aware of one right now. So hopefully we can find one, because I might need one. Let's see, I did a whole maintenance on my S330, did the steering blocks and everything. It doesn't go as fast as it did. Readjust the full forward max and try again. Yeah, that's what I would do, because you're going to max that pump out in the forward position, max your lever out in the forward position, then you tighten down your sandwich plates, if that makes sense. So there's nothing that I can think that you would have done that would have caused, other than a mechanical adjustment, that should have caused that to slow down. So that's what I would think on that. Company I work for has a 331 Deere, and everyone loves it. I've ran all the major brands on skid steers, and Deeres are my favorite, and Cat's second, and then Takeuchi. Wow. Sounds like something an operator would say. A mechanic would tell you the complete opposite of that. Look, open the hood of a Deere skid steer and tell me you would want to work on that crap. Anyways, yeah, so when people ask me what I think about machines, I look at it from a mechanical maintenance standpoint, because I'm not an operator. I mean, it might be the best operating machine. I know the Deeres are really strong, and the Deeres always do the test, the balance test and all that stuff, which aren't fair tests when you see them on the internet. If you actually know what you're looking at and what they're doing, like, it looks impressive, but you have to balance a machine, so there's a give and a take, and they only show what Deere is giving versus what they lose compared to the other machines on trying to balance the machine like that. So yeah, of course it's my opinion when I say this about machines, but yeah, Deere is one of the last ones I would have. Like, I don't even know what Deere's market share is. Right now, the market share is Bobcat, then Kubota, which is interesting because Kubota hasn't been out that long as far as their skid steers, and they're number 2 for market share as far as skid steer sales. and then cat, and then I don't even think it's deer. Maybe I'd have to look it back up, but I think deer is down there like 5 or 6, because they just can't. Deer started with a smaller one, then they tried to make bigger ones. And there's a lot to what they did and how they did it, but yeah. Anyways, plastic gear coupling between the motor and hydraulic pump on a JCB skid steer scare me. A lot of people use those plastic couplers. The couplers have evolved and changed over the years. But I remember when I first started at CAT, you know, the CAT compact construction equipment, the skid steers, the 216, 26, 36, and the 246 came out about, what, 1999? Is that right? Does anybody remember? 1999 or year 2000. And they had the plastic coupler between the engine and the pump, and those would strip out all the time. And I could literally do that whole job. I did so many of them. We would race. I could do that whole job in less than 4 hours. Pull the engine, replace the coupler, put it all back in, get all the fluids in it, and have it running in 4 hours. I did many of them in the parking lot on a trailer. So a lot of people use those plastic couplers. But they have evolved over the years, and the couplers have gotten better. It really depends on the machine which couplers they use, but yeah. United Rentals field service, awesome, solve problems on the site here no one can fix in JLG. Keller, wow, I'm missing something. Okay. Where am I at? Okay. I work as a rental tech for a rental company, and I work on our JCB equipment more than I care for. If you get the telehandlers, expect plenty of chain and hose repairs in the boom. Yeah, well, JCB is kind of known for their telehandlers, so usually when I'm working on them, it is JCB telehandlers I'm working on. And, you know, before, JCB asked me to help them, you know, in some of their more outskirt territories. And then I'd go out to try to work on the machines for them, and then they wouldn't give me any. And then I'd call in and be like, dude, every wire's yellow. I can't read any numbers on them. I need a schematic or something. They will not share a darn thing with me. I'm like, you asked me to help. You got to give me access to this stuff. Just send me a screenshot of this section of the schematic I need, you know, so I can trace down this circuit. Nothing, man. I don't know what the hell they have to hide. So since then, now with all the software and stuff, we've got our own software. I've got our own JCB interfaces and everything. I got quite a few interfaces I hadn't even put on the website yet. We now have Case New Holland. Of course, we got the Kubota DSTIs. We've got the CAT, the John Deere, and all the software for everything. So if anybody needs any of that, especially the JCB stuff, we now have that. But yeah, you just gotta go out and figure it out on your own. I don't know, dude. It's like it's a really good friend of ours that works at JCB. So like, I want to support him. Like, he doesn't need my support. He's out there killing it. He sells a lot of JCBs. But fuck, dude, it's such a nightmare. It is. But I did buy the scissor list from him because I figured if it's going to be the least amount of maintenance. I'm sorry, the scissor list. The least amount of maintenance, hopefully it's going to be on those scissor lists. Let's see. Brady needs that new Elon Musk brain implant so we can reference service manuals. That's actually scary, in a sense. The implant we're talking about, because you will be able to access that information instantly. Yes, you'll be able to. I mean, in a sense, the way Musk describes it is we're already cyborgs in a sense of the way we get our information. It's just the baud rate or the download rate, right? If I want that information, I can get on my phone or a computer and I can find that information and process it through our brain however we want to. But it just takes time for me to look that stuff up and get it. But with that implant, we can literally think about what we want and instantaneously find that information, which that should scare everybody, because who's going to have access to that technology? It's going to be the powerful and the elites, the billionaires, you know, the rich get richer and the poor keeps getting poorer, right? you know, the middle class and the poor, there's no way we're going to be able to afford one of those implants. But the billionaires and all, they're going to have access to everything. They will literally control the world with an implant. It's, I don't know, our kids' future, it's going to be scary. And that's not out of the realm of possibilities. It's absolutely in actuality that's the way it's going to happen. I mean, every year we're doubling or tripling, you know, the capacity of our technology, and double or tripling lessening the cost by 2 to 3 times. So it's absolutely insane what they're dealing with. Let's see, JCB parts ordering is like looking at a pizza menu. Yeah. Does anyone does anyone have anything good to say about JCB? That's what I'm curious about. Stems get stuck from debris a lot. Yeah, and the Bobcat valve, for some reason, I'm sure that's what you're talking about, you know, because I'm so far behind here, but they're like the first ones to get that debris from the pump, and we always have problems with those. Let's see, you might, yeah, and Joey's added. Okay, Raymond says mix 50-50 diesel and used oil and spray with a gravity feed spray gun where needed. And I might just be sidetracked. What was that for? Oh, okay, yeah. For the salt, to help with the salt. I'm sure that's what he's talking about. Guys with the older tool cats, please keep up with cleaning them if you use them in salt. If your cab rusts out, we can't order you a new cab. Yeah. That's interesting. I didn't know that new cabs were not available, but I guess not. That's crazy. And even if it was, it wouldn't be very cost effective, would it? Let's see. I like Corrosion X products for rust prevention. Corrosion X. I'm gonna have to look that up and try that. Let's see, tram issues on a T64. Okay. Let's see. Everyone knows about the CP4 diesel HP pump, 674 Duramax, Dodge and Cummins. Enlighten us. 2 just went bad here. Jeez. Cost a lot of money to fix new age trucks. It sure does. Because when they go bad, it takes out the whole fuel system. You're not just replacing one part, you're doing the whole thing. Kicking in and out of tram on a T64. So that's what we're talking. So a T64 with tram issues, kicking in and out. I'm assuming that would be an SJC machine. It could be electrical, it could be mechanical. But if it was electrical or mechanical, you should have some kind of code, I would imagine, for that. Or it might not be the tram system at all. It could be something like the armbar sensor or a pressure sensor or something else causing that issue. But I would think that it would code out. Going back to that Isuzu, yeah, I think it was just the 843 and maybe the 853 were the only ones that had the Isuzu in it. Let's see, GMC has a new drifting crawling option on pickups. Tell the customer it's a feature. Oh, on the T86 that we were talking about earlier. Yeah, there's no telling him that. Let's see. Also, I'm curious how the new Cummins. All right, now we're talking about trucks. Let's see if I can get caught up down here a little bit. Yeah, let's see. Okay, yeah, okay, so shenanigans, that's what I wanted to see. Oh, we're family owned, but we just opened a new dealer in Mass. I'm soon to buy another failing dealer as well. Okay, so still family owned in the Northeast, which is nice. So 4 locations at the moment, and that's perfect. you got to just make a long video ranting about enterprises. Yeah, I could do that. Nothing would make me more happy than a long ranting about enterprises and corporations and the way they treat people. They think it's different now. It's different now. It's not our mom and dads who, and I don't want this to sound, I don't know, but it's the truth. Times are different with technology and stuff. As an employer, me personally, who has employees working for me, I feel like I am lucky and I am grateful, and I'll do whatever it takes to keep my employees who I value very much. Because without them, I would absolutely immediately fail without my employees. The corporations look at it as like you should be thanking them for the job, and it's not like that anymore. It's not. All these old people who own these corporations, that's the way it is like, you know, take it or leave it. You know, you're lucky we're here for you to have a place to work. Bullshit. It don't work like that anymore. I'm sorry to tell you, but all these, yeah, they don't see it like that anymore. I consider me a small family-owned company. You know, me, my wife, my kids, and a couple of my close friends, we run this company, and we all are very close. We all work very well together, and I am grateful, and I'll do whatever I can for my employees because they mean the world to me. But not the corporations. Fuck no, you're a number, buddy. Yep, I think I was employee number something, and them assholes just walk through there in their penny loafers and stuff, and they wouldn't even look at you. They would walk right by, wouldn't say a word to you, knowing damn good and well it's the mechanics, it's the service shop who provides the absorption rate. The absorption rate is the rate in which the service department generates revenue to pay for their damn salaries, to pay for the building, the utilities, and all the overhead gets absorbed through service. We're the ones that keep the damn dealerships open. They won't even fucking look at us when they walk by us. If you have employees, where was I? This wasn't the rant session, but it was about to be. Let's see. All right, what's your opinion of the T180 and the V2607? Is that two different questions? Did they put the 2607 in the T180? I'm asking because I generally don't remember. I thought it was the 2203 and the 2003 turbo. But if the T180 has the 2607 was a good motor. So the T180s and T190s are kind of the track machines that I kind of stay away from because they're older, they're rough as hell, they're not my favorites, but they are good machines. I say I stay away from them. I just bought a piece of junk T190 because it was a deal, I think. But yeah, it all depends on condition, man. It boils down to condition. They are good machines. The Kubota 2607, just like any of those Kubota engines, except for the 1.7 and the 1.9 liters. For some reason, the 1.7 and the 1.9s were terrible, but the 2 liters and up were great engines. I mean, everything from the 2003, 2203, the 2607, the 3300s, 3800s, they're all just, I think they're great engines. JCB or any manufacturer should have a warehouse full of bins of hydraulic hoses and other wear parts, especially hydraulic hoses in the States that know good. I mean, we've got giant hydraulic shops here, and I can't remember the fitting. No, it was a push to connect, one of those snap to connects, but it was weird. It was a weird bend or something that was in it. I can't remember exactly. I've got pictures of it somewhere. But yeah, if it's going to be something special like that, custom almost, absolutely they should carry it. I mean, how many teleskids are out there and how many teleskids use that same fitting? When I think after we figured it out, I mean, it cost, I don't know, less than $100 to change the adapters out plus the price of the hose. You know, we probably had $300 in parts. but at least we avoided that snap to connect. It wasn't needed, is what I'm getting at. But for some reason, they decided to engineer something that they can't even provide support on. So sorry, JCB. And that was one thing that I wanted to mention, that nobody here in the States, even my local dealer, doesn't want to help me or give me any information because, well, I don't know the because to that, but I've got people in this live chat and that watch my videos and then hear me talk about JCB overseas, Europe, the UK, and JCB's big over there. And dude, those guys would email me and send me schematics and help me out, walk me through the circuits. Like, they know these machines over there in Europe. And I guess they're just way more popular than they are over here. And those guys were more, I mean, not just one guy, but multiple guys reached out to me from overseas and were more than willing to help, where I couldn't get any help or support from my local JCB people. And it wasn't from a lack of communication, it's just that they didn't want to help me. So anyways, he says, yeah, I'm an operator, that's why I like deer, I don't have to work on it. Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. That sounded like something an operator would say. No offense when I say that, but yeah, the mechanic would rather not work on one of those, I promise you. It has adjustable arms on top of the pump. Would that affect it at all? Oh, it could, yeah. If you got the adjustable pintle levers, that could. I mean, did you adjust those to begin with? But you want those, really, when you set that up, you want those as close to center before you put it all together and tighten everything down before you make any adjustments. Get those as close to center. But yeah, they could be adjusted too far to the rear and you're not getting a full stroke on the front. So let's see, Perkins diesel engine's excellent. Yeah, Perkins, Percapillars, Caterpillars, Caterpillars, whatever you want to call them. The one guy that does all the tricks at these motorcycle rallies, if he hasn't killed himself already, has shown me that the standard old Bobcat has more balance. That's Black Sheep, isn't it? And he does run the older mechanical linkage machines. Yeah, that guy's incredible, man. He makes it look easy, and I've tried it a bunch of times. It is not easy. It is not easy. Dan rented a JCB excavator to tear out an old barn down. It worked well while I had it. And last year I bought quite a few JCB excavators, and I kind of liked them. All the ones I bought had the Kohler industrial engine in them, and they seemed to be good. The cabs were pretty roomy, you know. The radios were garbage. I mean, garbage. I'm talking like $5 Wish, even worse than AliExpress, Wish type radio in them. I mean, my God, creature comforts in the cab, I think, are where you need to spend the money, and they just put garbage in those cabs. Anyways, good things to say about JCB. Well, disarm them while you have a chance to cut the yellow wire. Well, to disarm them, you just have to cut the yellow wire. Yeah, the yellow wire. There's a guy in the Toolcat Facebook forum that builds cab corners and floors for them. JB Fab Shop. That's sad when somebody has to build parts to repair cabs that have rusted out because you can't get parts anywhere else. That's pretty cool though. Arm pintle for steering on a T190 has an Allen head cap screw. Can that fine adjust the steering, or what is that for? The cap screw that goes directly in the top of the pintle shaft is nothing but a retainer for the pintle lever itself. That's all it is on the T190. I call it de-shitification. I like that. When you can modify a machine to get rid of all the proprietary, hard-to-find parts. Exactly. De-shitification. I'm going to write that down. As a matter of fact, I'm going to make a sign. De-shitification process. De-shitification in process. Do not disturb. I like it. 2007 and T180, T190 had the V2607. Okay, maybe so. Maybe it was the later model ones. Yeah, there was a lot of serial number breaks on those, a lot of changes, a lot of experimental changes on those machines. Interesting. Where are we at? 223 T64, kicking in and out of tran, no codes. Right side will kick out. Left side will keep going, or vice versa, and it's been in and out of the shop multiple times. Brought it in March of 24 with 4 hours, and it has 160 hours. So it's been doing that since it was new. And nobody can figure it out. Gosh, I would love to work on that machine. I'm sitting here trying to think why it could be doing that. It's a T64. I'm gonna have to think on that a few minutes. Man, that sounds like that's exactly the type of stuff I like to work on. But off the top of my head, I don't know. So what I would have to do is I would put it on the laptop, the computer, and that way we could run the machine and watch the parameters and see what's happening. Are we getting a 5-volt type signal loss? Are we getting a joystick issue? Yeah, it may not be coding out. Man, if the tracks just stop, if one's grabbing and one's not, and vice versa, so it's alternating sides. Yeah, I would want to watch the parameters in the pump controller, the drive controller, I guess we call it, and see what's going on. It might be a drive controller. It could be a connection issue, because we had a lot of water ingress and water issues in those harnesses, because that drive controller, or the drive controller and the hub controller are way down there, kind of lower in the part of the frame, and that's the ones that had all the issues. But being that it was doing it brand new, well, I was going to say brand new, you wouldn't have water ingress, but I take that back, because we were getting machines off the truck that had water intrusion in the harnesses. When they came straight from Bobcat, they would drive through a rainstorm. By the time they get to us, they were dead on the truck. We'd have to fix them before we even unload them brand new. So I can't rule out a water issue, ingress, and that type thing. Yeah, I'd love to work on it. So it's just, I just don't have enough information to work with to answer that at the moment. Yeah, I just saw, do you see our training tables? Man, I found these tables. We can lift them up and lower them with the little drive wheel here, and they're on screw jacks, almost like car jacks that go all the way across. So this whole thing's welded together with this long jack shaft that goes all the way through, so we can crank it up and crank it down. So I've got this one at a higher position and this one at a lower position, so I'm going to set up the training kind of like theater seating, and so that we can see the big screen up front. But anyways, these are all raw steel, custom built tables. I kind of like them. How the fuck did I get off on tables? Did you see the half lift cylinder question? No, I didn't. Half lift cylinder. Who asked that? Was it you? I don't know. Half lift cylinder question. No, I don't. I'll have to go back and see if I can find it. Maybe I'm lost on that. I don't know. The E60R2 slow hydraulic B4 GR parts diagram calls it orifice, not sold separately, and spool, not sold separately. Move this. So you see like 3 pieces. I want to make sure that before I tell you yes, that's the one, I would want to see that in the parts diagram. So parts diagram, so you're looking on the, hell, we're almost caught up here. Let's just go look for it real quick. if you don't mind, let's just change the screen. We'll go over here. We're going to throw in E60. You said the B4GR. Let's go into the hydraulic system, and we're going to go down here and look at a pump breakdown. Where is it at? Here. Pump, right here. Okay. So this is what we're talking about, this section right here. So 33 is what we're doing. So yeah, spool and the 32 are the orifices. So yes, you're going to remove this cap, number 24. You can remove this, is going to be an Allen head as well. So this will be the orifice. You'll pull that out with an Allen head. Take your little magnet or something and grab this spool, I guess, little pin, pull it out. And then you can either pull the 34, you can pull it out, or you can leave that one in there. It doesn't matter, because what we're trying to do is really get this number 33 out of the way. So if you want to pull them all out, that's fine, but you don't have to get 34. So if you pull out 32, 33, and then just put the 24 plug back in, and you're good to go. So yeah. So take that out and see what happens. Just start there, because that won't take you but a few minutes to get that out of the way. And then I would chase, another problem somewhere else. So yeah, if that's the orifice that you saw and we're talking about the same thing, then you're on the right track. Let's see. Those tables are awesome. Yeah, that's where we're going to lay out all our fishing gear, Dan, and then we're going to lay it all out, get it organized, and then we're going fishing when you get here. So, let's see, where am I at? Man, did all these questions just come in while we were looking for parts? Come on, guys, let's see, okay. Creature comfort is not a thing in old Bobcats. No, it's not, but I'm starting to get used to these creature comforts. One that points forward. I think so. I'm not sure what. Okay. I was just wondering if you knew on the 853 if the lift cylinder hose stay at ½ inch JIC or if they step them down at the metal hookups. I don't think they step down. So ½ inch is number 8. I think it stays number 8 all the way through, if I remember correctly. And that's an 853. So the 853s are kind of rare, so I just don't know for sure. But in most cases, they do stay 8 all the way through. But like on the excavators, they go from 8 to 10 fittings. So 8 hose, 10 fittings. So they're jump sizes on a lot of the excavators. You got to be careful with that. But I think it stays 8, ½ inch all the way. On a T550, are they using Delphi connectors? Need to replace connector pigtail. So it depends on the connector. We do have Delphi, a lot of Deutz connectors. It all depends on the connector, but yes, there is a lot of Delphi. And so we have Delphi, WeatherPack, and Deutz all on the same machine. So it really depends on the connector itself. I thought the lift cylinder hoses were 3/8 ID. Again, being the 853, I just can't remember all the size hoses, and they may be, yeah, a six hose with an 8 fitting. It seems like that sounds right to me. I just can't remember. Yeah. Okay, where are we at? He's gonna do something in the morning and report back next week. What were we talking about with the Mariserve here? Oh, okay, he's gonna pull the orifice. And he did a super chat. Thank you so much, man. I really appreciate that. That's how we take our employees out every Friday and even during the week. So whenever we get donations and stuff like that, and that's like I said, we really make sure our employees are taken care of. We stock our fridges and snack bars and everything here. It's funny because when I worked for the corporation, they themselves brought in vending machines so that they could get even more money off of it. So it's kind of like in the old miner days, you know what I mean? They would pay you with their money and you had to spend their money in their stores. That's kind of what I felt like. These corporates are like, oh, we're going to bring you guys in vending machines. No, dude, I can walk over here and I can show you our refrigerator and our snack bar. I keep them full of energy drink, you know, Celsiuses. Some guys like Powerades, whatever they like. Each person, we keep that in stock. We keep all the drink mixes and snacks and fruits and chips, and then every Friday, you know, as long as we're all here, we always go out to lunch. So yeah, little donations like that we don't take lightly. We really appreciate it, and we take really good care of our guys, and they take good care of us. So I really appreciate that, man. That's awesome. We make sure that they are happy, they feel at home, you know, and as a matter of fact, that's what we're doing with our big office over there. So maybe, Dan, by the time you get here, so this is one of the bigger offices. So we took over the whole property now, where we were sharing it with another company. But on the back side, now we're going to try to build like a game room where we're going to set up poker tables in there and couches and TVs and stuff. So it'll be a break room, like an actual break/game room, so we can go in there after hours and stuff and just set it up. Hell, I'm going to put hammocks in there so I can take a nap during the day, which I don't even have time to take lunch during the day, much less a nap. But I feel like in the future, maybe I'm going to have a time to take a nap during the day. God, that'd be nice. Let's see. I'm cheap reused fittings. Well, those hoses are crimped. They need to be, can't reuse. I cut the collar off, crimp new fittings on, use new ferrule. I guess they're talking about something. I don't know. Okay, yeah. I have a T650 park brake will not engage. 2-speed sometimes works. What are the chances the valve body is bad? Can you clarify? It will not engage or disengage? If it will not engage, because see, it takes hydraulic pressure. And what do we mean? So the brakes will not set or they will not release? Just so I'm not confused on what we're talking about. What are the chances the valve body? So it's a small valve body that, and the T650, the 2-speed and the brakes are in the same small valve assembly, but when you start the machine, it's not engaged. So when you start the machine, you can drive through the brakes, so the brakes are not set. I'm sorry, I'm just getting tired. I'm not sure. I want to make sure I understand you correctly. Do you do online classes? I saw that you have a shop. You have in-shop. However, I'm quite ways away from you. I really love the content and how well you teach. Well, I appreciate that. People are asking us if we can do online. So I think what I'm going to just try maybe in March is we're just going to set the camera up in the classroom, and I think I'm just going to stream it live. And I just think if you're not here with us, it's going to be kind of boring, because I don't know unless I have someone that's going to take, because we don't stay in the classroom all day. We're in here for like 30 minutes, we go over something, and then we go outside and do hands-on. So exactly what we looked at on a schematic in theory, how it's supposed to work, we go out in the shop and what we saw and went through on the schematic, we look at it, touch it, move it, feel it in real life on the machine, so that you can take the schematic in real life and merge them. So it's kind of hard to do like online classes. Like for me, I just kind of feel bad if I charge people for online classes. It seems like that's what all these people want to do is they call them creators or influencers. I don't consider myself to be that. As a matter of fact, I've never, not one time, 160, 170 something videos I've got out there, you'll never hear me to ever ask you to subscribe to the channel. Because if I didn't earn it, I don't feel like I deserve it. So I want to make sure that you get what you need, and I guess that's what I'm getting at. Creators and all that, they do these online classes which turn out to be garbage, and they charge you a lot of money for it. You don't get anything out of it. I want to make sure that I'm able to, if I'm going to charge you for something, I want to make sure you get something out of it, if that makes sense. And maybe I'm just underestimating what we could do online. I don't know. That's a great question. I'm going to try it. This year I'm going to try it, but I don't think I'm going to like set up an online class that you're going to charge for. We're with the software and stuff, I don't publicly do a lot of that type stuff, so those might be like just private type courses that I only grant you access to. So I don't know. We're still playing with it. Justin Jose. Talk about part-time. Good Lord, where you been? This is the guy who designed, if for those of y'all are familiar with our tool to take the bowl off of the fuel filters on the newer machines, he is the one who designed and built those. Awesome, man. Been super busy, haven't been consistent, but caught up with your Tech Talk Tuesday. Hope training classes are good, and Mike as well. Yeah, Mike's doing good. Hopefully he's home, man. He was out working late tonight. We kind of had a custom job that he had to go do, and I was hoping he's going to be back today and maybe join us, but I don't even know if he got home yet. I know his truck is still parked outside, so I think he just took the service truck home tonight. But anyways, I'll tell him you said, hey, Dan just might have to stay with that kind of treatment. Yeah, Dan, I think you'll love Utah. Might be a good move for you. When you start the machine, it's not engaged, so you can hop in and just go. However, the arms won't engage until you release with the button. Okay, so it's hard for me to answer that one because I would assume that your brakes are bad, but I can't say that for sure because if the stem is bad, when you start the machine, that stem is supposed to prevent charge pressure from reaching the brakes. It takes charge pressure. The brakes are hydraulically released, spring applied. So if the stem or the valve is bad and charge pressure is bypassing the valve, it could release the brakes, assuming that your brakes are good. I mean, I just did a set of drive motors because it didn't have any brakes because they were driven through and burned up and they were bad. It's not a valve or a pressure issue. It just, the brake discs were just ground into powder. There were no brakes left in it. So it's kind of hard to answer that one with certainty with the information that I have. Online class is useless unless you have the machine where you work. Yeah, that's kind of what I was describing. It's like, which we got some incredible animations and stuff. I think you would get a lot out of just the classroom side of it, but the hands-on, there's no, I don't think there's a substitute for seeing it on the screen and then going out and doing it. Because what you see on it, like for me personally, like when I go to classes and we just go through a bunch of schematics for hours and hours, what do you actually remember out of that? You might remember bits and pieces, but when you see my animation of the whole charge circuit and then we go out and we trace that charge circuit, we take that charge circuit apart, we actually hook gauges to it, we test it, we know where it's coming from and we know where it's going and how it gets back out and returns to, you know, you can see it on the screen, we'll go out there and do it, then we'll come back in and see on the screen and clarify any questions we have, and I think it just really helps with schematics to be able to physically see and work on the circuit that you're trying to describe and learn about. So, yeah, so I see it both ways, but you're right. If you don't have the hands-on, you know, machine in front of you. So like a lot of the diagnostic software we can do on the software, it does have like a training part in there. So all these desks will have laptops on them. I encourage people to bring their own laptops, but I will have plenty of laptops available because I want everybody to touch, feel, push the buttons, start the test, run the test, you know what I mean, not just watch someone else do it. So yeah, you're right. I think there are some benefits to what you could see if I just put it online, but yeah, it's hard to being there in purpose. Yeah. Let's see. Totally agree with you. I'm definitely a hands-on learner, but you explain things so well it makes it easy for an experienced tech. I'm glad to hear that. I appreciate it, man. We're gonna try. We're gonna try to do something. The T64 has been multiple dealers and has been run on a laptop. I still cannot figure out the tram in and out going to go higher up. It depends on how they were using the laptop. They got to catch something. They got to see something. They got to see something in the Swash plate sensors, something in the joysticks. They got to see something dropping off. And if they don't see it dropping off, then it's going to be something mechanical. And I'm just trying to think mechanical, what would cause that. Like right now, I'm thinking it's almost like a controller issue, but I don't know because I can't see. I can't see it, and I can't feel it. Is it like, I mean, it could be as simple as a bad brake circuit, and as you're moving components, you're getting a fluctuation in charge pressure, and it's not able to maintain brake or charge pressure, which maintains the brakes being released, and maybe it's just kind of path of least resistance on which side the brake's locking up. But I don't know because I can't feel it, I can't see it, I can't hear it. It's hard for me to answer for sure. Not to say you shouldn't make money, but I know people who won't even talk to people and chat without compensation. Yeah, I do too, man. Is anyone else a real badass operator like me and always forgets when the parking brake is on? I need to change the brake, I think. Yeah, but back to the money thing. I literally talk to people all day long, but so only set aside a couple hours at night in the afternoon so you can actually schedule a paid consultation at night, you know, after hours for me, which I know I'm mountain time, so it doesn't work for everybody because when it's 6 o'clock here, you know, it's 8 o'clock and it's usually too late for people on the East Coast. But I do charge my regular hourly rate because that's still time that I'm away from my family and actually working. But when you schedule an appointment, let's say you schedule a 30-minute appointment, you know, I start at least a half hour before that because I've got to understand your issue, look up your serial number, look up parts, look up diagrams, search cases, look through my notes to try to get all the information possible to help you. So if you call me throughout the day, I can just, maybe try this or whatever, call me back, let me know. But if we schedule a consultation, I actually work with you through the process the best I can. But at the same time, sometimes, you know, I'm not there. Even if you were to call me like on that T64, I'm not there. So I'm not sure how I would approach that over the phone consultation because that's something I need to see and feel and you know, kind of work through. But anyways, I stick with you, and then you don't have to schedule a consultation every time. Once we initiate the consultation and I make some suggestions, then we get back together. After you do those suggestions, you know, just give me a call or text, and then, okay, yes, that worked or that didn't work, and then we'll move on to plan B or whatever the case may be. But who sets parking brakes? It's always the guy that parks it on the trailer and then has you unload it, and then you look like an idiot because you're trying to unload it with the brakes on. That's happened to me several times. I'm like, who sets the parking brake? I don't know. I agree. Let's see. 3, to have a little bit of self-preservation when I'm getting out of the cab. My Bobcat won't stay running. Fuel problems? Maybe. Could be fuel, could be electrical, could be fuel and electrical. Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of generic. It's hard to say. Like 743 parking brake or an M series. Yeah, so 743s were actually brake disc They're an actual friction pad on a brake disc. And then M series, so we still used a wedge lock on the wheeled machines, but on the track machines, it's all internal brake disc, hydraulic release spring or pride. And is there anybody here? So when people say final drive, I think planetary. So none of the Bobcat skid steers none of the Bobcat track machines have a planetary, except for one. $20 if someone can tell me which machine has a final drive planetary. What Bobcat track loader has a final drive planetary? $25 if anybody can answer that in the next 2 minutes. Let's see. Remember the old belt drive Bobcats, Wisconsin? Yeah, sure do. Well, yeah, they're still belt drive. Well, not anymore, but well, no, yeah, we still make belt drive machines. T300, nope. 864, that's a good guess because that was the very first one that came out, but nope. 864 was still a piston motor. Mike Doherty, you don't even, man, you don't deserve to, but no, it was not the 864. Mike, we just talked about this. You can't come in here and start answering questions like that. Not the T770, not a 590. Man, that's a lot of good guesses though. What do we got? We still got a minute left. I know Mike knows this, he's just not. What time did you get home, Mike? I hope everything worked out okay. Everyone's been asking about you. Even Jose is here, yeah. Mike, we talked about this the other day. You were there. Part number for planetary set? Nope, no hints. You'll remember when I tell you. What else? Yeah, I'm not even going to start a rant right now. We're going to see if anybody can guess this real quick. Mike got home at 6 today. That was a long day, man. Hopefully it worked out pretty good. And, oh, David Chugg's here, man. David Chugg, your axle has taken up a third of my shop. We got parts everywhere. Oh man, dude, we are literally. So we had to take a spatch. So the David Chugg has a big case loader. Front axle went out on it. All the brakes went out on it. Gears got all chewed up. I mean, it's bad, dude. Like, it's literally like we're shoveling like packed clay debris out of these axles. We're going to have a lot of time just trying to clean these. No, don't be sorry. I'm just letting you know. I should send you a picture. It's literally covers the whole back of my shop because there's so many pieces and we're trying to lay it all out and get it all cleaned up. We might even have to replace a bearing, Mike. I think Mike mentioned that bearing that we were talking about, the planetary issue. I think we might have to replace that bearing. So hopefully we can get this thing cleaned up. I know we've got all our seals coming for you, David. Yeah, goop is one way, but it is the nasty. Like, the guys put on gloves and coveralls before they even touch this thing. So we got cardboard. Half an acre of the shop is covered in cardboard, just making sure we don't get anything on the floor. Where are we at? Nope. Okay, 870s. It was not the T870. It's not the T110. That's a good guess. Holy crap. Hang on, I forgot about the T110, Dan. Hang on, the T110 doesn't have it, does it? No. Hang on, I might owe Dan money. Hang on. I forgot about the 110. Dang. Okay, let's go look. That's funny. Hang on. Oh my gosh, he might have got one on me. Let's see. No, that is not a planetary. Phew, man, I thought you got me. That was a good guess though. But no, that is not a planetary motor. Man, good guess. Okay, so E35, yes, would have a planetary, but we're talking about tracked skid steers, so compact track loaders, CTLs. But yes, all the excavators will have a planetary. Oh, we missed the time limit. The T7X, the electric skid steer, has a final drive planetary with an AC electric drive motor. So there you go. How come the internet is so fast? Because, dude, we are on Verizon 5G now. Like, I can feel my blood vibrating in my body. We've got this router that we came in today that, so we were wired CenturyNet, and they gave us like 15 megabytes a second for, so we got like 8 people in here trying to run computers, and it would barely run. Like I said, we're setting up this whole new office and everything, but it was the same service we had the week before. All we did was change the name, and then they came out here and they tested our cables and said our internet was too fast. They thought we were still on internet, and I said, I just came here to rent the place. The internet was already here. I didn't take anything. So they rewired it, and they had our service so slow that we were literally working off of our hotspots. So we called CenturyLink. We're like, what happened? It worked fine before your guy came out here to set us up, and then so we canceled that service immediately, and next day out a Verizon. This thing literally looks like the, what is it, the Darth Vader ship that's got all the intent, like, yeah, this thing is, when I turn the lights off, this place is like glowing of radiation. This thing is so awesome. Yeah, run a speed test tomorrow, Mike. That needle will peg out and it'll crack your monitor screen. It's so fast. Let's see. Yeah, Mike did know that because we talked about it. That's why you knew that. You just forgot. I've never seen an electric drive Bobcat skid steer. Well, let's go take a look at it while we're talking about it. Let's go to the T7X. Let's see, yeah. I've got videos of us running. I actually got to run this machine, but let's see. So yeah, this thing has a big battery. We were just talking about the internet being fast, and look at this. Okay. Okay, I can't zoom in on it, but so this is the all-electric skid steer, right? So this is electric ball screw actuators. That is not a hydraulic cylinder. This machine has no hydraulic fluid in it, just a lubricating oil inside of this ball screw actuator. So right here in the back is where the actual drive motor, the AC drive motor is. See this big drive motor? That's a 3-phase AC electric motor, and they're 3-phase because each side have to. So for 3-phase, we can sync them so that they are synced together, so that one screw doesn't get out of position of the other. So these are giant actuators, and these are Moog actuators. And anyone familiar with Moog knows that they build components. Like the Moog suspension, but a different Moog company, M-O-O-G. They literally build stuff for space shuttles that have been on the moon. I mean, this thing is so over-engineered. But anyways, yeah, we have a planetary drive here, and this drive motor is, or the actual drive unit is an AC drive motor, high voltage drive motor that runs a planetary. So this is the only track machine that Bobcat made with a planetary. If that answers your questions. Anyways, how precious is that, huh? Now you've seen it. Let's see. I've never seen okay, what the fuck, electric? That shouldn't count. No, it does, because it's still a CTL. It's still a compact. How does that not count? Where in the USA can I source used parts? Looking for a 2022 T86 cylinder head, and seems very hard to find. The cylinder head shouldn't be hard to find. Mike's replaced them, right? Yeah, I don't know why it's hard to find for some reason, unless they're discontinued now, but we've replaced several heads. We haven't had any issue. I'd have to look into that. The problem is that's such a new, let me get back to the main screen. The problem is that's such a new engine. I don't know, you're going to have a hard time finding a used head for that. And the problem with finding a used head, because unless you find a machine that's junk or burned down or something, is that the core charge, so every time we replace one of those engines, the core charge is so expensive. Like, I would like to keep the engines, but the core charges are like thousands of dollars. It's not even worth keeping the core. So a lot of people aren't just going to have spare parts if they replace an engine, because if you kept the core, you couldn't even sell the parts off to make your money back for keeping the core, if that makes sense. So I think you're going to have a hard time finding the cylinder head for the new V2 engine. I could be wrong. Quantum fiber now. Yeah, this is all wireless, which is interesting. And being 5G, the Chinese are listening. They just heard that, didn't they? Damn it. All right. Shh. 10 gig fiber, yeah. Oh, well, that sucks. Oh, Verizon sucks too. Yeah, but the only problem is I've got limited options. So it was Century, who I thought was fast, but apparently they said that someone wired our box almost like we were stealing internet, because they said they don't even offer a speed that fast. So they came out and changed the wiring in our box and took that high speed away from us and gave us a 15. I was like, my child can't even load a game on his tablet with, I was like, and you're selling this to businesses? How did, my wife didn't know when she set it up, but anyways. So Verizon, the 5G was our only other option where we're located, unfortunately. And as of right now, it's working really good. No hydraulics, all electric drive and lift, correct. Hold down control and use your middle mouse button. Why? What does that do? I don't know. Control. Middle. It's trying to do something. Were you talking to me? I don't know. Let's see. How do you get the motors to free spool if there are no planetary gears? Drag the machine. Yeah, sometimes the only option you have is to drag the machine or put it on some type of pipes and roll it. So if you have a good brake system that doesn't leak, it is possible. So remember we said it's hydraulic release, spring applied. So when you hydraulic release the brakes, you deadhead hydraulic pressure against the brake piston. So it's deadheaded, it's not free flowing through anything. So we can literally, we test brake packs with a porta-power. You know, a little porta-pack, a little hydraulic pump, we can tee it in to the brake circuit, or just plumb it into one brake or the other if we're just testing a brake seal. So in theory, yes, you can tee in a porta-power, pump up the brakes and release the brakes and spool it like that. But there's not an easy way to do it. But you have to be careful dragging them, because you can drive through the brakes. We just had a machine that was here that we had to replace the drive motors because they did drag it so many times they finally drug it through the brakes and destroyed the brake section. So you got to be careful with that. Newer bobs are ugly. Dang, man. Is that ugly? I don't know. I think they're sleek, man. They still have really good visibility. You know, they kind of build them around visibility. I feel like any other machine I get in, I can't see. And it's not being biased. It's just, I can see out of a Bobcat. Out of a cat and deers and everything else, I can't see anything, man. I don't know. Yes, straight from Bobcat. Let's see. Looks like a Power Ranger toy. Yeah. I wish I could find a 963. dude, I had one, and I couldn't get rid of that thing fast enough. I wish I knew you wanted one. Why would have shipped that thing straight to you? No, I couldn't even sell it, as a matter of fact. Nobody wanted the damn thing. Perkins engine and all in it. They're a completely different animal. I took it to auction and lost my butt on it at the auction. That was the last experience I had with a 963. What is the cost on a T7X? You ready for this? $300,000. North of $300,000. This battery that goes in right here, the battery you slide in with a forklift, $100,000 just for the battery. So here's the problem. Who can afford that? Who can afford a $300,000 machine that runs for 4 hours fully charged? Now, Bobcat's done all the science and specs and everything, and they say that most machines idle a majority of the time, that majority of the machines do not operate at full operating capacity at more than 4 hours a day. So on average, 4 hours of full operating capacity would most companies and operators, that would be a full day for them. Then you could charge this overnight. So where am I going with this? Who can afford it? Nobody. Not even the people who are buying it. So the first 100 machines are going to Sunbelt Rentals. But not just any Sunbelt Rentals. It's going to Sunbelt Rentals out of California. And why California? Because of the CORE program. What's the CORE program? That's where they take money from taxpayers like you and me, and they pass it on to these giant corporations to subsidize electric equipment. Yeah, they're subsidizing more. I want to say it's more than 50%. I think they are subsidizing nearly 60% of these electric machines. They're taking tax money from you and me to subsidize giant corporations to buy $300,000 loaders from another giant corporation. That's who can afford it. What the fuck? What? What? No, you're going to take more than $150,000 per machine. So $150,000 plus that's just the first 100 that are going into California. So what's 100 times 100,000? Millions of dollars from the taxpayer. Do you think that's really going to save the polar bears? 100 machines? Come on. 300,000. But that's okay. Tax the little guy. Do you know how much I pay in taxes? I'm not getting into another rant. I pay a fucking lot. Payroll taxes, income taxes, sales taxes. Holy shit! My daily balance sheet. The largest numbers on that sheet's not what I collect, but what I pay in taxes. And what do I get out of it? I owe more taxes. That's the other part when I'm telling how proud I am of all these people going independent and leaving the dealerships and all that, and how hard it is to run a business. The overhead and taxes. And if there's anything left for you, you're doing really good. Trust me, you're doing really good. My guys make more than I do. I don't even get a paycheck because I got to pay taxes. I literally had to forfeit my paychecks. I don't know when I'll get paid again. But I'll yeah. Apparently we got plenty of money to pay. Can't pay myself, but I can pay taxes. Okay. Where was I? If you want to get mad, download the free book, The Book of Broken Promises, which documents broadband scandal in the USA. I'm gonna write that down because I am gonna download that. I like it. Mike says he can't see out of anything of a 763. Well, we haven't been in the right 763. It's because a lot of times they don't clean that back window on a lot of those older machines. But if you were in my 763, you would see the light, buddy. You would see the light. You can use a porta power to activate swash plate on hydraulic pumps to test on excavator through the margin spool. Yeah, so, and that, when we go back to that whole, orifice and everything we're removing, that's the flow of oil we are trying to control. Is exactly what you're talking about there without getting into too many details. I need to find a junk 863, get parts, I'll fix up my rust bucket nice. So an 863 and 963 are nothing alike. I'm not sure what you could take off the 863 and put on 963. Completely different frames, different cabs, different engines, different hydraulic components. What is it that you could use off an 863? I'm just curious because I don't know. Let's see. Can you order me a few of those T7Xs? I need them to clear my residential driveway. I need them to hook up to my solar array because they're environmentally cool. So that's interesting you say that because they are power stations. So I did a video on the Rogue X. If y'all saw that, it was a prototype, but basically the same power bank. I think it's a 60 kilowatt battery, and what it is, it's a track machine without a cab, but it can be used, like you can put loader arms on it, you could make a man lift out of it, you can make a light tower out of it, or you can just track that thing remotely. And like out here we have a bunch of ski resorts when they're putting up the chair lifts and everything, that they have to get power up there. And that track machine that they can run autonomously up there, and it can sit up there, and they say that you can charge it on a small generator. So you could take an electric thing up there with a 60 kilowatt capacity to run your, I know it's weird saying that you have to charge it with a generator because if you're out in the wilderness, you don't have any other choice. That yes, you can run it off. I forget what they said. Maybe it's a 6 kW generator that you can charge that machine overnight to full capacity. So, yeah, that's a whole nother conversation for another day. Let's see. Hey, customer name, can I charge my machine overnight so I can use it in the morning? So exactly. So, and it's interesting you say that because here's where it's going. Like, so New York Port Authority, let's just take that for instance because it's New York, right? We could talk about California, but New York Port Authority has mandated that new construction jobs start groundbreaking with electric charging stations for electric equipment. And if electric equipment can be used, it must be used and utilized over diesel equipment if it is available for use. So, NYC, there we go. We have taxes on taxes, and then you got to pay those taxes. The taxes that are on the taxes, someone's got to tax that too. So you got to be careful with that. Does it come? Okay, so y'all are asking a lot of good questions, and I want to talk about all this stuff. I do. So yeah, so job sites in the future, California, New York, places like that, they're going to mandate that electric charging stations be installed off the grid. And I don't know, maybe they can be diesel-powered generator stations depending on where they're at, but solar plants and stuff like that they're building, they want to be all environmentally friendly and stuff, they're going to have charging stations to run electric equipment. It's already here, they're already doing it, and it's just going to get more and more. So, yeah. So he said at Con Expo, Motorhead said he saw all types of battery-powered equipment. Yeah, even the giant Komatsu loaders and excavators, and they have giant chargers for the mines and everything. A lot of underground equipment and stuff like that. So 90% of electric that I saw were all excavators, and then the big giant loaders. Because I was at Con Expo, and there was a lot of electric stuff, a lot of impressive stuff. I can't remember all the manufacturers. I know Komatsu had a big, giant electric loaders. Bobcat is the only, okay, so First Green is the only company, so First Green Industries is the only company that has an electric skid steer that is currently sold to the public that I'm aware of. Bobcat will be second. Gale had some prototypes back when they were doing it, but nobody has a fully functional electric skid steer. So Bobcat, not only the T86, they also have the, I keep calling it 76, I'm calling it 7X. They also have the S7X as well. That's basically the rubber tire machine that was at Con Expo as well. Let's see if we can take a look at that. S7X. Okay, let's see. Not a lot of pictures of it. A bunch of pictures of the T. Yeah, they don't have a lot of pictures of it. I mean, they have a video. I don't know. We can just look at the screen here. You can kind of see what it looks like. I mean, it kind of looks like a skid steer, but here's the back of that Moog AC motor. I could not get my fingertip between the tire and that motor right there. Now I'm sure there's going to be some design changes or whatever, but I think they said they were redesigning the arms. The one I saw at Con Expo, they said that was not the final version of it, that they were making some changes, but yeah. So they've got a rubber tire, and I don't know the price point on this one, but I imagine it's about the same. But so these really still are not quite released yet. So First Green Industries is the only one, and we went out to First Green. They were in Asheville, North Carolina. I actually flew out there earlier in the year and met with First Green because I was interested in electric machines, but I just don't think they're quite there. The deal killer for me was they don't quite have the lithium here yet. Overseas they have the lithium batteries, but they're having a hard time getting the lithium batteries made here in the United States, but they don't want to ship those giant lithium batteries from overseas, from what I understand, because they're basically bombs inside of the ships. So they want to ship them with lead acid batteries or ship them without a battery and then have the lithium batteries built here to put into them. So, you know, just like electric forklifts, you know, the lead acid batteries are just nasty, man. They're terrible. You roll a machine over, your battery's shot. So the deal killer for me not buying electric machines, being in the rental industry, because I really do want an electric machine, just because I think they're neat, not because I'm worried about the polar bears. But until they get the lithium figured out, I can't get on board, because there's no sense in paying all that money and getting a lead acid battery. But the thing about the First Green Industries, what's different about the First Green as opposed to the Bobcat, the First Green is electric over hydraulic. So you basically got electric motors driving hydraulic pumps, and so the machine side is all what am I trying to say is run hydraulically, but the drive is run off big AC electric motors and big drive belts. They are Kevlar drive belts, if I remember correctly. So pretty cool. The wheeled machines are run off drive belts. See, I'm getting all sidetracked here. Let's see. Plot twist: 7X were stored in LA. Probably. Probably. They were test driving it in LA, and that we were just talking about the lithium bombs, right? Maybe that's what I don't know. Let's see. They had battery grade all absurdity. I didn't see the grade all there, but there's so much to see, I wouldn't doubt it. Does it come with the diesel generator to charge it? It has to be a CA thing. I can see it being useful in buildings, but not worth it. Yeah, kind of. So that was what I was getting at, is they can be charged with an electric generator. And a lot of times they'll have to be. I see I ran the Volvo battery excavator at Con Expo. The large excavator costs 3 times what a normal machine costs. Yeah, it does. Volvo had, that's what I'm saying. I ran that little excavator too on the little obstacle course. Is that the one you ran? That was pretty cool. The Sani also had an electric one. I got to run their electric machine. So I ran several electric excavators while I was there, and they're pretty impressive. Bobcat's got the electric excavators too, and they're all electric over hydraulic, so they still operate like an excavator, but we just change out the engine for an electric motor that drives the same style hydraulic pump. So that's in a different category. The electric excavators are already out and in use, but I'm not aware of anybody who's actually using the electric skid steers yet. Let's see. Anyways, where are we at? Okay. Next year we all meet at Vegas Con Expo. 2020, yeah, next year, 2026. Yes, I'll be there for sure, man. I won't miss another Con Expo as long as I'm able to. Let's do that. Let's plan that. That would be awesome to meet up. I'm going to the ARA. I wanted to go World of Concrete, which is next week, but the week after is the ARA, American Rental Association, that's going to be in Vegas. So I'll be at the ARA, and I'm still trying to figure out, man, I really want to go to World of Concrete next week, just to go down there for a day, you know, just to see what it's all about. I've been to Con Expo, but I really want to go to World of Concrete. All the electric machines are going to have tampon strings hanging out of them to change while you operate. All while electric is coming from coal-fired plant, and the electric, and let's not even get started on the coal-fired plant. We got coal-fired plants. We mine our coal here in Utah. We process that coal. We burn it. We pollute our air. I say we pollute it. We scrub it. But anyways, we put that heat back into our environment. And the town in which we have these coal-fired plants don't even benefit from that electricity. You know where we ship it? We run wires all the way through the desert to California. I shit you not. You can't make this stuff up. We mine our coal and we sell the power to California. The town in which our power plant is in does not even benefit from that power. It's crazy. Same thing happens in Wyoming and everything else. They mine all these resources and it all goes to California. And it's kind of like us. As long as we're not the ones polluting the air, it's okay. You know, we get everything from China and India and all these other places that will never see the sunrise or a blue sky because they're so polluted. And it's okay for them to do it, but by God, we spill some antifreeze on the ground, here comes the EPA. Trump's going to take care of the EPA from what I understand. He's going to gut that whole thing. And I hope he does. Because then we're going to release our delete kits. It'll be fun. Let's see. Richer charger, rider fees, delivery fees, just another. Yeah, it sure is. My brother in Asheville, North Carolina. They are from Czechoslovakia. Correct. It is a Czechoslovakian company. First Green, is that right? Czech? Yeah, Czechoslovakia. Yes, they have them in North Carolina. Like I said, that's where I went. I went to their plant, or the distributor there in North Carolina, and met them in Asheville, and got to run and operate the machines. And they're full remote control too. So we ran them remote control and all, which is pretty cool. Some places in the countries are taking farmland, throwing up solar panels. 5,000 acres will no longer produce. That's true. Solar panels and windmills are the biggest scam. And yeah. Lithium, water equals boom. I agree. Especially salt water. It just speeds up the process a little bit. I saw the Bobcat backhoe loader. I haven't seen that yet. From what I understand, it is going to be at World of Concrete. That's one reason I want to go. I want to go see what Bobcat has at World of Concrete. What year T650 are the most reliable, Kubota versus the Doosan? It depends on maintenance. I like the Doosan version T650. I think the T650s are really good machines, but regardless if it was Doosan or Kubota, I just like the T650. So for me, I would probably go with the Doosan. Kubota, less maintenance, probably more reliable. But if you know how to take care of the Doosan, you understand the Doosan, I personally would go with the Doosan. Yeah, I know that's hard. That's hard to hear, but yeah, that's my opinion, and I'm sticking to it. Let's see. Have you ever asked why Bobcat went 100% electric versus hybrid? I think I didn't ask that specific question, but I can kind of go into my suspicion or Bobcat is so far ahead of everyone else, and when I say that, I'm talking electronically, engineering wise. They're way far ahead. So I think they're looking far into the future with control and reliability. So that T7X that we were looking at, that machine literally runs at about 20% capacity. What I mean by that is it is so powerful, they have to turn the electronics down to keep from completely ripping and twisting the machine apart. It is so powerful. So I think this is all engineering, prototyping, and testing for the future, when electric over hydraulic may not be as efficient as full electric machines. Even the attachments, the sweepers, the grapple buckets, all the attachments are 100% electric too. But there is going to be a hydraulic pump version or option that you can put in the electric machine to run hydraulic attachments. So, like we were talking about the Rogue X, the prototype machine, concept vehicle, I guess is what it is. What it's capable of in the future with being all electric, I think opens up the possibilities that probably may not be as efficient or as possible with hydraulics as going full electric. That's just my suspension. I don't even know if that makes sense to you, because I can kind of see it in my head where they're going with this. And operating electric over hydraulic machines, I think it's by design for the future, I believe, because anybody can put an electric motor on a hydraulic pump, you know what I mean, and run that. As a matter of fact, I've seen it a bunch of times in the mines. I mean, just Google it. You can see electric skid steer where people actually put electric motors. They pull the engine out and put an electric motor in on the hydraulic pump, and they actually run it off AC cables. So there's a cable attached to it, and they run it in and out of the mines. So that part's easy. But the over-engineering they've done on this thing to put that price point at $300,000, I think it's just, we're the best of the best. Nobody can, I've never seen anything like it. No, I've seen a lot of electric over hydraulic machines. I've never seen anything like this Bobcat. It's crazy. What do you think of Bobcat bringing out the new things like the tractors and loaders? So we talked about this. I think they should stick to what they're good at. You know, they've had the backhoe loaders before. You know, and they discontinued them for a reason. No, so what you remember Bobcat calling their machines the Advantage series? Do you remember that? You could buy a skid steer and an excavator and do more work with those two machines than a backhoe ever could. That was the advantage of owning. That's what the Advantage series meant is that you have the advantage over a backhoe loader with a skid steer and a mini excavator. That kind of, the skid steer and excavators almost made backhoes, I don't want to say obsolete because they have their place, but I'm going to go with almost obsolete. Who goes out to buy a backhoe? I don't know. I just don't understand that market. Maybe I'm completely off, but the skid steer and the excavator have replaced the backhoe loaders. So I don't know. And the tractors, all they did was, I mean, Coyote's been around for a long time. They're Coyote tractors. They just brand them and paint them Bobcat colors and same fucking headaches and all. So I don't know what to think about it. I just think they should stick with, because it's not just tractors and loaders. I'm talking air compressors, forklifts, but they're just rebranding everyone else's stuff. The Doosan's, you know, the Doosan forklifts are now white with Bobcat stickers on them. Same shit. Anyways, so yeah, they're just trying to expand their market share and what they're capable of, and you know, the whole compact construction. I mean, they got everything from jumping jacks to plate temps to, like I said, compressors, light plants, screw drive, rotary indoor electric compressors. I mean, they got all kinds of stuff. And even Europe, Bobcat's got these rotating extendable telehandlers that literally have 4 stabilizers, and they rotate on a center pivot. So they've got stuff in Europe that you've probably never even seen or even heard of. So yeah, I don't know. Delete kits, please tell me more. I need one, of course, for off-road and racing purposes only. Isn't that funny how things that are allowed off-road on your vehicle are not allowed off-road on a tractor? All I can say is that Kubota is pretty much a plug-and-play delete. You know, you can gut your DPF. The Doosan are not plug-and-play. We literally have to open up, I say we, people I know who do this, have to open up the DCU and ECU and literally pin them out from the inside to do the programming. So it's more difficult on the Doosan, so it takes time and it's really expensive. You know, you're going to be $4 grand into a proper weight reduction. Okay, I think that's all we're going to say about that. Brady, not to be a conspiracy. Let's see, good to know. Okay, yeah. Good to know. No one wants 960 if I find one the perfect size for the farm. Yep. Brady, not to be a conspiracy person, but it's pretty much fact. Google search is why 95% of nuclear fuel wasted. Now? Or I'll write that down to go with the broken promises. There'll be a whole, I'm going to go home and put on my tinfoil hat. Wasted. I'll look into that. Let's see. Made in electric machines in the 60s? Yeah, huge hybrids, right? Could you imagine in the 60s? What was that? Nickel metal? What were those batteries? No, nickel cadmium? Was it nickel cadmium back in the? I don't even know what it was in the 60s. Wasn't nickel cadmium in the late 70s, 80s? I don't know. Who knows what the actual electric, or a lot. So the machines that I saw back in the 60s they were wired though, right? Oh, well, hybrids you're saying. Okay, I'm not sure. I'm thinking battery. What kind of skid steer did you see in the mines? So there was multiples. I mean, we got a lot. There's a lot of them I see are actually Bobcats in the mines, the underground mines that we have here, the coal mines and stuff. They're all completely modified for underground mine use according to MSHA modifications, but they're pretty neat. Let's see, back to the MT Bobcat. What are some simple fuel system checks? There's not much. I mean, you got a fuel tank that goes through a primer bulb and through a fuel filter into the injection pump. So I'm not sure if there's something specific you're, I mean, really fuel filter's it, right? And debris in your tank, I guess, that could be a problem. Are we talking about low power or something? I'm not sure. You need to turn yourself into the EPA office right now. So that's what I'm afraid of. We both need to go down there and repent our sins for even talking about this stuff. Using my cherry flavored Zoom juice in the truck. There you go. Cherry flavored Zoom juice. Isn't that crazy too? How you can buy the cherry flavored Zoom at a tax reducted rate for off-road use in your tractor. Yeah, anyways. I like that. The only reason people would buy a backhoe is to avoid CDL and truck and trailer. Yeah. So they can drive the backhoe, is that what you mean? I don't know. Maybe. If you can have one machine, if you can only have one machine, backhoe it is. But that being said, I'm selling mine. Well, yeah, so Dave does I think you use it mostly on but you do development too, so I'm not, like most of the backhoes end up on the farms, I guess is what I'm getting at. It seems like when they go through auction, every time a backhoe you see one, they end up on the farms. So I think maybe they're pretty well suited for that because you can get around larger farms and properties a lot faster than moving two machines. And so yeah, one machine versus two machines, like, yeah, they got their, yeah, I mean, I can see it both ways, I guess, but I mean, the backhoe sales just isn't where it is anymore. You know, times change. I just don't, why they're going back to it, I don't know. I mean, they are definitely more popular in other other countries, but here it just seems to me market share for backhoes is just way off, and to try to get into that and start up a whole nother, which they've had the backhoe in overseas for quite a while. They're just bringing it to the States, so it's not like it's a new thing. They're just bringing them over and modifying them for the U.S. versions. In urban areas, yeah, that's what, and I think that's for the travel purposes, right? Because they can actually drive them more around and stuff, yeah. Throw farm plates on it, yep, just throw a triangle on it and you can drive that thing right through the drive-through. Let's see, I've never seen the underground skid steers even in a picture. I might have some pictures of them, but I mean, they're just beat all to hell in black from all the coal. It's the nastiest beat up, torn up damn machines you ever seen in your life. Nothing special, but they do modify the rear of the machines and have to expand them for all the fire suppression systems and the Murphy switches and everything that have to be custom built by MSHA specifications. So, I mean, they look like a skid steer. Just take a skid steer and roll it down, you know, the side of a 10,000 foot mountain made of coal dust, and by the time it gets to the bottom, you've seen an underground mine machine. Same thing. I'll fly on the drones from New Jersey. What happened? Someone like that just went away, right? It was all over every news cycle, everything. And then the Sean Ryan episode came out, and then bam, lights off, no more drones. Haven't heard a damn thing about them since. Or is it just me? I don't know. Yeah, battery technology went, yeah, that's what I thought. So NiCad, nickel metal, then lithium. But did they have but even before that, so literally I've seen pictures and I've heard stories of even back in the like 20s and 30s, they were running like battery powered stuff. Well, I wonder what that chemical makeup was. Have you had any personal issues with the cherry juice causing fuel system problems? Kind of been hearing that around lately, but not seen it personally. So when they make it cherry flavor, it comes out of the exact same refinery. They just dye it as they put it into their trucks. So it's the same thing, just has dye into it. The difference and the reason we say not to use it is the storage capabilities of the distribution, basically the gas station. For instance, you know, because it's not a fuel that's used a lot. It usually sits in above ground tanks. The above ground tanks, they collect a lot more moisture because they are above ground. You know, the temperature changes, rust, debris. It's the storage practices of the place you get it from. Like we had, in my area, we had, you know, a booming area that was growing. Only had one fuel station that carried off-road, and they stored it above ground. And just my machines, like the Bobcats, we were, gosh, I bet nearly $100,000 in fuel systems and injectors within probably a 6-month period, and they all went to the same fuel station. One guy thought it was his transfer tank in his truck. He went out and bought a brand new transfer tank, brand new filters, went to that fuel station, topped off his transfer tank, filled up his machines. There was so much mud and water is that it filled up his fuel water separator to a point where it couldn't separate any more water, and it was pumping muddy water into his machines. And you know, we told them what the problem was, so we didn't point our fingers, but everyone was getting the fuel from the same place. And then they said, then the fuel station caught wind of it, said we were blaming them and threatened to sue us, saying there was nothing wrong with their fuel. But before that, I had went and taken a sample of that off, because that's where I got my on-road diesel. But the on-road is underground and it's cycled so often that you have a lot fewer issues on the green. But the red, it's the storage. That's what it boils down to, is how it's transferred to your machine. It's just so susceptible to contamination, just due to the nature of what it is and how it's used, that it's not worth the risk for a few, 20 cents? What's the difference on the red? 20, 25 cents, something like that. And sulfur content, yeah. So that's the thing, is a lot of the red's not the ultra low sulfur, right? Let's see, green is 15 or lower. Red seems to have a higher, which you would want the higher sulfur, right? Oh, but it packs the after treatment. Yeah, that's true. So yeah, there's several ways of looking at it, but long story short, if you were to get red and green off the truck from the refinery, same thing. Okay, it's just how many different fuel cans, transfer tanks, above ground storage tanks before it gets to your machine. That's where the contamination comes from. Feel free to add to that. Dude, this is the longest, you guys are still here. This is the longest tech talk I've ever done. We're 3 hours into this. I gotta go home at some point tonight. That is crazy. But so many interesting questions and conversations, man. This has actually been pretty fun tonight. And so thank you, everybody. We'll get to these last couple, and then yeah, I'm gonna have to lock up and go home tonight. Let's see, where are we at? I'm just looking at the stats here real quick just to see if we've broken any records. No. Most people only watch for 14 minutes anyways, but you guys are just awesome. Let's see, it does depend on which refinery it comes from, not all. Oh, so David is an oil and fuel expert. I forgot. That's coming all back to me. And I can say that because I know that he is. And it does depend on which refinery it comes from. Not all crude is the same, and the end product can be quite a bit different, the wax content, etc. Yeah, I would like to expand on that. So yeah, so what David said, it's the same fuel, only been dyed. So what this guy says is the truth, that this isn't hearsay or maybe. I'm kind of like, this is what I've seen from experience. David actually knows. Let's see, that's good stuff. I drove a few miles and found Hy-Vee diesel cheaper than red fuel. What is Hy-Vee? I don't even know what that is. 74 cents in Ohio if you're tax exempt. Otherwise, they charge sales tax on off-road. So it's a 74 cent difference. Yeah, I don't think it's that much here. And it may be because of the farming there, maybe the taxes are different. Well, it's a federal tax regardless, and isn't federal tax the same across the board? It should be. If it's not, how can they say it's more federal tax in one place than the other? But here in British Columbia, Canada, I don't think red diesel is a thing here. Yeah, so is it not? Wasn't it in Europe though? Wasn't that part of the tax issue that the farmers were protesting? So like I said, all we do here is, well, I guess you get the gist of it. We just dye the same fuel, and that way they can tell what fuel is tax exempt and what's not. So they'll literally put like a string, like if they suspect, like they came to my business one day when I was in Georgia. It wasn't the EPA, it was something within the state. And we worked on a lot of diesel trucks. We didn't own the trucks. We were a diesel mechanic shop. And they came out there and wanted to test all the tanks on the diesel trucks that were our customers. We absolutely 100% did not allow that to happen because they were not our trucks. They were not fleet vehicles. They belonged to our customers. And they're not about to go start dropping stuff in fuel tanks. So that lady, raised hell. So we ended up, so she did call the cops on us, and the cops came out there and said that she had no right to do that. They made her leave, and she had to have some other documentation or something, and never heard from her again. But she came out there with her lab coat, clipboard, and everything, start ready to test. We probably had 20, 25 trucks out there, and she's ready to test every one of them. So what they do is, and if they find that red diesel in there, then it's tax evasion in a sense, and huge fines for that. And all you're doing is the federal road tax is being exempt so that for farm use, because farmers don't need to be paying road tax to run farm vehicles. North Carolina DOT catches you on the red. The cost difference is 10. Yeah, I said it's a huge fine, so 10,000 is what he's saying for trying to save $5 per fill up, whatever it comes out to. Which diesel fuel additive lubricates injection pump, and is it safe for DPF, etc.? Interesting. So I wanted to talk about this last week. Who follows Project Farm? Did y'all see Project Farm do the diesel treatment test? Go watch that. That's interesting. It was some interesting tests, and oh gosh, some of the top ones that you think were good treatments turned out they didn't have hardly any lubrication properties at all, except for the Hot Shots. Hot Shots was the Hot Shots and another kind of off-brand, like Walmart brand. What was it? Were two of the best. Like Hot Shots, like excelled in every category as far as water dissipation. You know, the freeze point, cloud point, to help. I want to say thaw or reduce the cloud point, lubricity. Hot Shots beat everybody. Beat the Howes, the Stenadine. Everyone that I thought was actually that I would have thought had more lubricity or water dissipation, you know, what they advertised, it turns out, yeah, Hot Shots says it's science, you know what I mean? And I always liked the Hot Shots. I never really recommended it for Bobcat because Bobcat has their own, which was specifically, it's not made by Bobcat, but it was specifically blended for the engineers at Bobcat. And we have a winter and a summer version. But for me, I would just put Hot Shot. I mean, I use Hot Shots in my truck. Why wouldn't I use it in my skid steers? So that's a great question. So if y'all haven't seen the Project Farm diesel fuel treatment test, he just released it last week. It's pretty neat. So it looks like Hot Shots. So safe for DPF though, that's an interesting question. But I would imagine the Hot Shot, I mean, everyone's using it for their newer machines, but yeah. Good question. DOT is not IRS. They shouldn't be checking if you pay taxes on your fuel. Yeah. Yeah, that is too, I don't know. I think we might need the DOT in certain aspects. But the IRS and the EPA are two organizations that absolutely need to be gutted and destroyed. We need the fair tax, guys. How many of you are business owners and just blown away by how you get, I'm trying to ease off on the F-bombs, but if you don't use Vaseline or something, you know what I'm talking about. How do small businesses survive as I don't get it, man. We can't, I don't know. I could talk about taxes, but when do taxes stop? And we keep freaking voting for it. I remember I got in a big argument with my mom about it because she worked for the city and they want it, and it's a penny at a time, and the problem is it never goes away. It was called SPLOST, right? Let's add it just 1 penny per transaction to help pay for sidewalks throughout the community. I'm like, look at what you're taxing us now, and you can't balance a budget enough to put in a couple miles of sidewalk, and you want to add more tax? The problem is it won't go away. Everyone will forget about it. They won't even know they're paying it, and then they're going to add another tax on top of that, and another tax on top of that, and another tax on top of that. 60% of everything we make. If you have a $5 bill, no, I'm sorry, or is it a $1 bill? I have to look at my calculations. You take that $1 bill, you pay me a $1 bill, I have to pay the government taxes on that. I take what's left, I go over here to the gas station, I buy, I don't know, a drink with it. Now they have to pay taxes on that income, but then they have to pay the employee that works at the gas station, so the employee has to pay taxes on the money that they used that I bought the drink to pay the employee. He has to pay taxes on that. And then that employee leaves and goes home and buys, I don't know, a cup of rice, and now the person who's selling the rice, they have to pay it. So within 8 or 10 transactions, that $1, $5 to 10, the government owns the whole thing. Think about that. Am I explaining that right? Does that make sense? Yeah, taxes and credit card fees. And I hate this because I hate feeing customers. You know what I mean? Like even our rental side of the business, we try to keep the transactions, this is what it's going to cost you, you bring it back, this is what you're going to pay. But unfortunately, I have to start charging credit card processing fees. When I look back and found out that I paid nearly $18,000 in credit card processing fees in over like just 7 months, so the last 3 months of 2024, we had to start charging credit card processing fees. And I hate that because we try to be very fair. You know, we don't add extra hours, we don't put a bunch of fluff in, we don't mark up parts. You know, there is some markup, but it's not like we have enough, you know, by the time I pay my employees and the overhead and everything else, and then you pay with a credit card, now I got to pay the credit card fee, the 3%. It's tough, man. It's hard. It's hard. I don't know where to go from this. All right. Let's talk Bobcats. I need to watch Project Farm Repair Geek partnered with the Motor Oil Geek and sent them all to the oil testing lab. Interesting. I'll have to look at that. Those new common rail diesel system, 30,000 PSI fuel pump, roller cams get wiped out by no lubricant and fuel. Yep. Water and gasoline are two of the biggest contaminations that we see in the equipment, and the lack of lubricity, which, you know, diesel fuel doesn't have a whole lot of lubricity. It's not like oil, you know, but yeah, lack of lubricity is what takes them out. Because you're right, it's high pressure, high load on those cams. So like on our Delphi systems, they're not roller cam, which the rollers seem to fail more than the flat tappets in my experience. So the flat tappets even seem a little better in my experience, but safer DPF if it's not there. Yeah, the more free-flowing the DPF is, the less susceptible to clogging it is. That's just theory. I don't know that for sure, but do you know the history of the EPA, who created it and why it completely backfired? No, I'm going to have to look into that too. Am I going to have to write that one down too? It's not going to matter next week when Trump guts it anyways, right? History of EPA. It's interesting. I gave up on having a business to do work under the table to survive. And that's what sucks, man. You can't do work under the table anymore. Well, and you can't have a business and do work. Like, to do things properly, it's hard for me to even take petty cash to do things properly. You know, like, we have a car wash that we kind of use here in the wintertime, but the credit card thing at the car wash doesn't work, so we have to use quarters there. So when we use cash to use quarters just to run to the car wash to rent something off, you know, a bigger part or something that won't fit in the parts washer or whatever, you know, I have to account for all that petty. It's crazy, man. But I've been in trouble with the IRS before with one of my other companies. That's why I don't mess with them now. I try to do everything properly, and I'll probably pay more than I should because, I don't know, some people do illegal stuff and they call it loopholes. I mean, there are legitimate loopholes, but then there's tax evasion. There's kind of a fine line between the two, from what I understand. And so it's out of my hands. Like I said, we did nearly $2 million last year, and I don't even have access to the bank account because I don't want it, because I don't want that responsibility. Leave that to the professionals. And maybe one day I'll get a paycheck out of this whole operation. Yeah, tax are like getting fisted with deal fisted. No lube. It hurts and there's shit everywhere. It does hurt. It's ridiculous. I don't understand the tolls, man. $24 tolls in New York City, Long Island. That's probably a $9 additional for Midtown. Is that toll for personal vehicles? What are commercial vehicles? Isn't it more than that? Like, isn't it like in the 70s? Maybe I'm completely wrong, but I thought commercial vehicles were a lot more. Just, yeah. Yeah. Anyways. Fair tax. Tell me how we get it going. I'm a Ron Paul delusional fool. I don't know. You know, do y'all remember, yeah, Neil Bortz? He was part of the designer and author of the fair tax. And nobody could explain it better than Neil. Did anybody know who Neil Bortz is? He was the Rush Limbaugh of the local Atlanta radio type. But anyways, him and a few other people, you know, authored that fair tax. And you know, everyone thinks that it's the way the tax system works. So the prices aren't really going up. It's just how the taxes are paid and distributed are different. It's like a consumption tax. It should absolutely, positively be 100% a consumption tax. In my opinion, right? Why? Like I said, we work our asses off, and they take so much money from me as a small company, family-owned, trying to do what's right. And just like we were talking about, those how the government takes money from people like us, and they subsidize these electric machines for a giant corporation like Sunbelt Rentals to pay another giant corporation to sell these overpriced skid steers that nobody wants. How does that make sense? I don't know. I do like Ron Paul and Rand Paul. I like Rand Paul. But yeah. See, and that's what the government's afraid of is crypto, because it's out of their control. And they will absolutely control it. There's no doubt in my mind. They will control it or make it illegal, and so they're trying to figure it out. I mean, I don't know. Maybe our dollar will be a crypto before long, because our dollar is not worth anything. There's nothing that backs the dollar anymore. I don't know. It seems like bricks actually makes more sense to me, if you know what bricks is. Yeah, and with what I used to pay in property tax on my home in New Jersey, you would never own anything because you always owe the tax. Well, that's any property, David, right? You know, all the, I remember hearing a farmer talking about that, is that he fully paid, he bought his property, but he'll never own it. But he owns such a large plot, a large amount of property, that his property taxes alone, he has to work himself to death just to maintain his ownership, or his said ownership of that property, just to pay the taxes. Like, he has to, like, he can't have failed crop. He, you know, you can't own property, because every piece of property in this nation has a property tax on it, right? Or is it just churches and nonprofits? I bet they still have to pay property tax. I don't know for sure, but you can't. You'll never own your house and the piece of property that your house is on. You will always owe that property tax. Right? Cool YouTube video on the, yeah. So Mrs. Wood says, where do you go from there? That was a question I asked earlier. Home. She says, get your fine self home. I don't know who she's talking to. It is after 9 o'clock, guys. I'm going to have to go. Great conversation. Thank you all for being here. This was fun. Who's the best mechanic I've ever met? That's a good question. Gosh, there's two that I worked with in North Dakota that I had a lot of respect for. Gosh, what's their names? I know their names that just slipped my mind, but I've worked with a lot of mechanics over the years, a lot of mechanics. There's two guys that I worked for. Even when I was in the oil fields, I had a lot of experience, but working with those guys, just the amount of knowledge they have about there's a difference in specializing, specializing in something, being a professional in a certain area, you know, engines or transmit, you know, engine guys might not be good transmission guys might, you know what I mean? But I worked with a couple guys that just, no matter what it was, just blew me away at the amount of knowledge and skill that they had. Well, one was more automotive and the other one was diesel. Yeah, that was two of the best people, even to this day, two of the best people, most knowledgeable, incredible people I've ever worked with. But that was in the oil fields of North Dakota. And then I just worked with a lot of scumbags too in North Dakota, but anyways. Yes, you have to live there across the board. 10% individual, 15% business. No state sales tax. Yeah, no state should have sales tax. How many states do we have that don't? I want to say 13 states that don't have sales tax. Tennessee, Florida, Texas, I think Alaska, right? I can't remember. My cousins fled Soviet Union, were shocked by taxes in America. I believe it. Well, I was just talking to I talk to a lot of people in Canada. Every day I talk to people in Canada. And where we're like 50%, so pretty much everything, 50% of your paycheck goes to the government right off the bat, not including all the ad valorem taxes and property taxes and sales taxes and fuels taxes and yeah, even death tax. You know what I mean? By the end of the day, the government gets 60% of everything you own, but right off the bat, the Canadians are 60 to 65%. For what they were explaining to me the other day, I have great conversations with those guys, and you know, talking about Trudeau and Pierre Poilievre and all, and a lot of interesting things. You know, I don't keep up with you know, Canadian politics a whole lot. I think their whole parliament thing is goofy, but you know, it's just not what we're used to. Anyways, all right, let's see. David Weeks, $2 million isn't small per year. Yes, your taxes better be paid. U.S. banks report $5,000 deposit, making $120,000 in taxes. Will killing you considering we get nothing for tax. I know, man. It's crazy. It is crazy. Well, thanks again, guys. And David says, go home, enjoy what's left of your night. Straight to bed for me. Yep, a lot of scumbags. Awesome. Thanks again, guys. I really appreciate everyone being here. This was fun. Hopefully we'll see you next week. Thanks for everybody that's coming out in March. Can't wait to see y'all in the new training facility. And May are the only two I've got scheduled right now. But I think that's it.